place to sit, settle down. We're about to start in the next 5 minutes. Feel welcome. Find a place to sit, settle down. We will start in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Mboa kuzenga su yala temba vele ni muna salsa. Ni salsa yisonde salsa yena nyako me o manja. Afebe kwa besi ni langa na yedu bana ni kanya interesi wa tenwa. Nabina ekwarango ya wenge indina ba bese betumbi o besuka na besuka. Wanamba besuka na besuka. Asontamba. Ouais, after son. Oyo so somba mwende. Na bina umelodi. Oyo so somba so. Mbappe na sawo ojingia. Mbappe na ben. Lam okwala. Mbappe na ndiso na whisky na soda. Do enfin, quoi basu dendi wana babu kate ni bondandi besuka na besuka besuka na besuka besuka na besuka besuka na besuka.
Good morning from the wonderful capital city of Kenya in the region of East Africa, the wonderful continent of Africa. Welcome to Nairobi, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Bonjour. Good morning. Did I say that properly? Bonjour. Unfortunately, that's where my French ends. But I'm hoping to learn a few words today, right? Once again, good morning and welcome. This is Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much for making time to be here with us. I know a lot of you have traveled from far, from within, but we want to give you a warm welcome and a warm shout out for Psalm 2025. Thank you so much for making time to be here. It's going to be a wonderful week. Most of you have your smartphones, yes or no? Can I see them? I don't want to pickpocket them, no. Just show me your smartphones. We're going to do a lot of interactive sessions, live interactive sessions with your smartphones, okay? All right, so when I prompt you, be ready to do that, okay? Once again, thank you for making time to be here. This year's Africa Initiative Finance Summit, Finance Week. We started yesterday, of course. We had a number of delegates who were here, and we had a number of sessions with them, and it's good to see all of you. May I make this very humble request? Because I can see a lot of empty seats. Those who are sitting on the side, if you could kindly just use about 2 minutes or 2 seconds to move to the middle, all right? Because we're taking pictures, live pictures, and I'm a little bit concerned that we might see a little bit of empty white chairs. So I want them to be occupied, please, all right? We want to show the whole continent, we want to show the whole globe that this place is truly fully packed, except, of course, for the first row, which is obviously going to be occupied in a short while, all right? My name is Nimro Tabu. I'm going to be the master of ceremony, host, a moderator if you like. But once again, I want to welcome all of you to this wonderful, wonderful summit today. And we're beginning now. As we set up the chairs for our dignitaries, I just want to encourage those who are sitting on the sides, please come to the middle. When we get full, those who come back later or come in later will occupy the seats on the side. Don't worry, they'll be fully occupied, right? But at the moment, I want everybody else to be in the midsection. It looks wonderful that way. It becomes warm that way. And we get to interact and to get to know each other from different parts of the continent, different parts of the globe that we're here today to share together experiences, share stories, all discussing matters microfinance in the continent of Africa. Welcome once again. So, first things first, just a bit of housekeeping. I know I've talked about the cell phones, but I'd like you to put them on silent or vibrate. In case you need to answer a very important phone call, you're free to walk out silently to the back and then engage in the phone call and then come back later. I also want to let you know that we have our washrooms, but in the lower section of the room where we're in. If you walk to the back through the entry that we came in, one flight of staircase downwards, you'll get to the washrooms, both gents and ladies, and then you can come back in. Our program is quite tight. Our program is quite elaborate. But briefly, let me just introduce the event that we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Africa Inclusive Finance Week, or SAM, as it is popularly known.
La semaine financière, c'est le plus grand événement de finance en Afrique. Chaque 2 ans, dans un pays africain, nous avons une séance de 5 jours qui réunit différents secteurs, les investisseurs, les microfinances, les chercheurs, les banquiers, les investisseurs.
Who come together to discuss, collaborate, and map out a path towards financial inclusion on the continent. Kenya is the host of
Inclusivité dans la finance.
2025, which started yesterday, as I mentioned earlier, and will go on until Friday, the 17th of October 2025. This event has been
Cet événement a été organisé en partenariat avec l'Association des microfinances du Kenya, qui est connue sous le nom de Amphike, et ADA, et nous avons réuni plus de 1000 participants pour parler de l'inclusion financière, des investissements et aussi des microfinances en Afrique. Alors, je vous demande tous qu'on puisse applaudir et apprécier tous ceux qui sont présents ici. Je sais que nous avons des participants et des délégués du Kenya. Où sont les Kenyans? Est-ce qu'on peut tous applaudir pour les Kenyans? Alors, est-ce que je peux voir mes amis qui viennent de la France? La France, Luxembourg, on peut tous applaudir pour eux. Mes amis de l'Ouganda, tous applaudir pour les Ougandais. Mes amis de Togo, merci, on peut applaudir. Le Sénégal, pour les Sénégalais, la Côte d'Ivoire ou Ivory Coast en anglais, merci beaucoup. Merci, oui, le Rwanda est bien représenté, ils viennent de Kigali, merci. Mes amis qui viennent, ce qu'on appelle Oga, la terre des Oga, les Nigérians. On peut tous applaudir pour les Nigérians. Les Nigérians doivent se lever. Levez-vous. On sait que... Demandez que vous puissiez vous lever. On veut voir les Nigérians. Mes amis, on peut tous applaudir pour eux. Et enfin, mes amis de la République démocratique RDC, comment allez-vous? Les enfants de Dieu sont présents. Beaucoup, certains, je vais vous apprendre certains mots en Swahili. Abariako, qui veut dire comment allez-vous? Je répète, Abariako. Umeshindaje. Umeshindaje. Comment allez-vous? Et nous avons aussi l'argot pour dire Niadje. Niadje veut dire comment ça va. Niadje. Et on a un autre mot en argot qui veut dire si on veut être des amis pour toujours. Et je suis sûr que nous aurons des amis ici. Si on souhaite être amis pour la vie. Wakudumu. On va le répéter ensemble. Wakudumu. Répétez après moi. Tutadumu. Wakudumu. Tutadumu. Merci beaucoup. Et on pourra utiliser cela jusqu'à la fin de la session parce que nous serons des amis pour toujours. Enfin, pendant les 5 jours de l'événement, nous espérons que les participants pourront interagir avec les participants, les modérateurs, aussi les prochains clients. Le programme est établi d'une manière aux délégués, aux participants d'interagir, aussi de vraiment diriger ce qui sera présenté par les participants et aussi de participer, de contribuer sur les opinions, les histoires qui seront partagées pendant les sessions plénières. Nous aurons un ministre, les ministres seront présents et aussi d'autres invités distingués seront présents. Sans trop traîner, j'aimerais premièrement introduire un mot d'un de nos sponsors. Après Covid, c'était très difficile pour nous, mais la Banque d'investissement européenne est venue à notre aide et les crédits que nous fournissons, c'est pour aider les entreprises à croître leurs. Nous sommes ici pour aider le développement des startups et aussi des PME, des entrepreneurs. Donc, ça nous aide vraiment à avoir un impact et travailler. On fournit aussi de l'aide technique.
financial services.
Nos services financiers avec les employés sont au centre. Et en vivant avec notre foi chrétienne, nous sommes en train de développer la meilleure microfinance pour donner un futur avec espoir pour les familles et aussi éradiquer la pauvreté.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous souhaite la bienvenue dans ce sommet 2025. Nous sommes très heureux de voir nos partenaires, nos membres et de lancer cette semaine. Il y aura pendant cette semaine de 2025
of the actors that will participate, that participated in the previous events, and I'm sure
qui ont participé aux événements précédents qui ont eu lieu au mois d'octobre. Ce sont des points très importants qui affectent les Africains et c'est un événement qui est très important. Merci beaucoup, mesdames et messieurs. Si on peut tous applaudir, s'il vous plaît, pour nos différents sponsors, bailleurs de fonds. Il y en a d'autres, on pourra interagir avec eux pendant cette semaine. Mais un grand merci à tous les sponsors pour rendre possible ce sommet. Il y aura deux autres vidéos que j'aimerais lire avec vous et que vous puissiez prêter attention. Et vos téléphones seront utiles. Je ne demande pas d'enregistrer les vidéos, mais de prêter attention, de suivre vraiment attentivement, parce que je vous poserai des questions pour que cette session soit interactive. Avant de cela, et donc l'indice global aujourd'hui démontre qu'il y a une forte corrélation entre la pénétration des téléphones portables et aussi la connexion Internet pour ceux qui sont dans le bas de l'échelle du monde. Alors, pour exploiter cela, je vous demande tous de télécharger le rapport de la Banque mondiale de 2025. L'indice mondial a été vraiment une de données très riches. Cette ressource nous aide à comprendre comment il y a l'accès et l'utilisation de la finance inclusive. Et ça nous démontre aussi comment les jeunes, et nous démontre vraiment l'impact dans cette partie de la population. Et cet indice nous aide vraiment à être à jour. Ça nous donne des données, des informations en ce qui concerne toutes les activités. Information très importante, c'est le rapport. Premièrement, on a vu qu'il y a une très grande information dans l'inclusion financière qui est grâce à la technologie portable. Et cela a aussi aidé dans l'augmentation dans les portefeuilles électroniques. Et aussi, ceci est vraiment très utile. Ça a vraiment aidé ceux qui sont dépourvus des services financiers. Depuis 2014, nous avons vu qu'il y a une augmentation environ de 75%. Et cela est grâce à la technologie, au téléphone portable, et qui nous aide vraiment à améliorer l'inclusion financière. Et cela aussi est fait avec le système conventionnel bancaire. Et deuxièmement, l'accès aux services financiers ne sont pas seulement faciles, mais aussi l'utilisation est vraiment améliorée. On voit une augmentation dans les comptes bancaires qui ont été ouverts dans la partie importante d'Afrique. On voit un grand nombre d'aujourd'hui qui ont une augmentation de 50% technologie et aussi au téléphone portable et aussi grâce à des téléphones, des portefeuilles électroniques. Troisièmement, les paiements numériques sont en croissance C'est vraiment devenu une pratique commune et nous voyons environ 75% des paiements gouvernementaux qui sont faits au travers de ces canaux et pour les transferts, pour les paiements de pensions. Et c'est vraiment, ça rassure en tout ce qui touche la sécurité financière. Et ça fait vraiment partie de leurs activités quotidiennes en ce qui concerne les paiements à différents marchands. Et on voit une très grande augmentation depuis 2021. Et cela est utilisé pour les transactions en ligne. Quatrièmement, les téléphones portables sont la primaire pour avoir à l'Internet, pour gérer les comptes financiers, pour se connecter dans les réseaux sociaux et aussi pour avoir l'accès aux services financiers, aux services gouvernementaux. Les femmes n'ont pas encore de téléphone portable. Alors, il y a les coûts d'acquérir les téléphones portables intelligents sont encore très élevés. Et cinquièmement, beaucoup d'adultes ont des problèmes avec le choc financier. On voit un grand nombre de personnes là où leurs comptes bancaires ne sont pas convertis en résilience financière. Ils se retrouvent dans des situations où ils ne peuvent pas répondre aux urgences médicales, médicaux. Et ceci nous démontre une nouvelle période pour la finance qui démontre qu'il y a vraiment une importance pour avoir accès aux différents services financiers, de continuer à investir dans l'infrastructure pour les téléphones portables et aussi renforcer la protection des consommateurs et aussi améliorer les plateformes de paiement et aussi promouvoir l'éducation financière, assurer qu'ils puissent consommer les services financiers pour être aptes de vivre dans ce monde numérique.
Let us all appreciate.
Je vous demande tous qu'on puisse apprécier la Banque mondiale. Maintenant, mesdames et messieurs, on pourra maintenant se dans un autre point très important de l'inclusion financière qui est la résilience, qui démontre une vue d'ensemble, comment aider les maisons, les ménages locaux et pour avoir un futur qui est résilient. Merci.
Conference on inclusive. Which event they're going to attend. My name is Matthew Giancini, and I am the director of the Microinsurance Network, a Luxembourg-based global network of organizations.
Je travaille dans des réseaux. Bienvenue à cette formation sur l'inclusion financière. À réduire les risques et sauvegarder le futur. Il y a un petit problème de son. Veuillez patienter un peu pour qu'on puisse régler ce problème de son. Ma présence ici aujourd'hui est un témoignage de cela. Je voudrais vous remercier Ada, remercier le gouvernement kenyan pour nous avoir accueillis dans cette réunion. Alors, étant climatique, nous devons aussi considérer la volatilité des économies. Maintenant, nous devons reconnaître ce que nous comprenons et ce que nous pouvons réaliser en matière d'inclusion financière. Nous avons besoin de l'assurance alors pour ce faire. Alors, dans notre réseau, nous menons beaucoup d'études pour comprendre la réalité. Alors, comme vous le savez, vous tous, connaissez l'état de notre secteur. Alors, je voudrais donc attirer votre attention sur le fait que nous ne pouvons pas travailler seuls. Regardons du point de vue global. Dans 37 pays où nous avons collecté les données, nous avons identifié 3 millions de personnes qui utilisent donc ces services. Alors son nombre accroît toutes les années. Oui, il y a 3 milliards de personnes donc, qui bénéficient de ces services. Et ça, c'est la population cible. Mais il y a 9 à 10 millions de personnes qui ne sont pas protégées par ce régime.
Actually, what we find is an even bleaker picture. The study found that across the countries included in the study, only 8.2% of the target population had any form of microinsurance coverage. In actual terms, in absolute terms, that's around 38 million people covered.
Désolé, nous avons un problème avec l'audio de la vidéo.
Now, as for the product types, funeral insurance is by far the largest product line, covering 17 million people across the continent, but predominantly in Zimbabwe and South Africa. Health insurance, which is probably the most in-demand product, has seen growth and covers around 4.5 million people, mostly through hospital cash products. And as for agriculture insurance is much smaller in reach, covering only 2.3 million people. Now these numbers make one thing clear. Despite the progress, we are still living close.
Malgré les progrès, nous sommes toujours pas là où on doit être et on doit voir comment améliorer. On voit une augmentation des interactions avec les gouvernements et d'autres organisations, compagnies d'assurance. Nous démontrent qu'on doit avoir une résilience pour s'adapter au changement climatique. Nous voyons 40 pays dans le monde entier ont implémenté une nouvelle méthode d'assurance qui est inclusive et on voit une forte corrélation avec ce qui devait être. Et il y a une très grande pénétration d'assurance. En ce qui concerne la numérique, on voit une augmentation de développement des produits basés sur téléphone portable pour l'assurance en Afrique. Et alors quand on regarde du côté du produit, les produits doivent répondre aux besoins des clients. Il y a des produits qui doivent être basés sur qui ont été faits en 2023. Focalisé sur l'agriculture et aussi d'autres points. Je peux continuer à partager avec vous les données qui sont très utiles pour en ce qui concerne pour améliorer. Mais il y a un rapport qui est disponible. Vous pouvez scanner le QR code. Vous pourrez avoir accès à toutes ces données dont j'ai mentionné. Ce qui est clair, c'est que progrès est nécessaire et on a besoin de données pour avoir ces données. Sur base des données qui ont été collectées, on voit que les produits de microassurance sont vraiment nécessaires et on doit continuer à étendre une variété de différents produits. Et on doit voir comment parler des lacunes sur les différents produits qui existent déjà chez nous. Et on parle aussi des partenariats. On doit avoir des partenariats au travers des différents secteurs pour nous permettre de mettre en échelle notre impact. Et mon dernier conseil, c'est la transparence et la confiance. L'assurance n'a pas une très bonne réputation, on doit être honnête sur cela. La population doit avoir l'assurance et l'assurance doit respecter son engagement et aussi on doit se focaliser dans l'éducation pour sensibiliser la population en ce qui concerne la confiance et la transparence. Pour clore, les données sont nécessaires. Nous ne pourrons pas notre secteur financier sans se focaliser sur cela. Si on veut que les communautés puissent avoir une meilleure vie, avoir aussi, on doit vraiment se focaliser sur l'inclusion financière et la microassurance est vraiment nécessaire pour accompagner cet objectif sur l'inclusion financière. Sur ce, j'aimerais vous souhaiter tous une conférence fructueuse. N'hésitez pas de contacter mes collègues qui sont présents dans la salle avec vous. Merci beaucoup.
Mesdames, Messieurs, réseau de micro-assurance. Désolé pour un peu de bruit du fond, mais je pense que vous avez capté certaines des questions que l'homme disait. Avant de continuer cette séance interactive, je voudrais vous demander, les personnes de Burkina Faso, veuillez vous mettre debout. Les personnes de Burkina Faso, veuillez vous mettre debout. Délégués, il y a les autres ici. Merveilleux, merveilleux, merveilleux. Je m'excuse, mais j'apprécie votre présence. Alors commençons. Il s'agit d'une séance interactive et je voudrais vous demander de faire sortir vos téléphones. Alors, la vidéo que nous venons de voir donc, montre les défis de l'inclusion financière au niveau mondial et au niveau de l'Afrique. Alors, entendez ce que vous pouvez dire avec vos téléphones. Alors, prenez vos téléphones, vous prenez Slido et scannez le code sur l'écran. Attendez un peu. Je voudrais que vous m'aidiez à créer une interaction à travers les vidéos que nous avons pu voir. Je ne sais pas si vous pouvez mettre le code QR pour le moment.
Yeah. So please take your
Oui.
phone and join
Prenez votre
Slido by
téléphone
scanning
et
the QR code
rejoignez
on the screen,
Slido
or by
en
going to
cliquant,
slido.com
le
and
code
entering the
QR
code
ou bien
displayed
en
on the
entrant
screen.
à slido.com.
That's number one. For those who are still taking pictures, you have a couple of seconds.
Mais
right?
je vous donne quelques
So
secondes pour que vous
instruction
puissiez
number one is to
prendre
please take
la
your phone
capture de
and join
l'écran.
Slido by scanning the
Rejoignez
QR code
Slido
on the
en
screen,
scannant
or
le
by
code
going to
QR ou
slido.com
en
and
allant à
entering the code
slido.com
displayed
et
on
en
the screen.
entrant le code qui est
Are we
montré
there,
sur
my
l'écran.
distinguished ladies and gentlemen?
Vous êtes là, mesdames
What's
et
that?
messieurs. Ça va?
No connection.
Il n'y a pas de connexion?
Low connection. No
La
connection.
connexion est
Okay.
bon. Alors,
Let me sort that out in 2 minutes.
nous allons résoudre cela dans
Is there
2
connection
minutes ou
now?
2 secondes. Il y a la connexion
Not
maintenant?
yet?
Pas encore.
Ah, are we too many?
Voilà. Est-ce que nous sommes trop nombreux? Si nombreux
No
que la
connection.
connexion est
This
basse.
room should be connected.
Devrait
This
être
room
connecté.
should be connected.
Ça-
Bonnie, are we okay? Are we okay? Anybody who's managed?
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui a pu
Anyone?
rejoindre
Try it again one more time.
le slide? Essayez encore une fois.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. Technology.
La technologie, la technologie.
It's happening. I don't know. Should I tell a few of you to start
Je
first
dois
and then we wait? I think
dire à certains de
because
commencer.
we're all going in at the same time, right? Can we try one more time? Just
Est-ce
one
que nous
more time,
pouvons essayer encore
right? Then we'll have an interactive session. Just one more time.
active, encore une fois. Essayez encore
Any luck? Anyone?
une séance
Don't panic.
interactive. Est-ce qu'il y a
If
quelqu'un
we
qui a eu
don't,
la
we'll just
chance
discuss.
d'y
I'll ask you
arriver?
the question and then I
Paniquez
want you
pas.
to give me
Je
the
vais
answers
vous
yourselves.
poser des questions et vous-même vous allez donner des réponses.
Okay. Sorry about that, ladies
Alors,
and gentlemen. Happens sometimes,
alors,
but we'll sort it
souvent,
out. Okay.
Bon, il y a des problèmes. Mais
So here's the thing. This is
Voilà
what I
donc.
wanted you to do.
Je voudrais que
After
vous
watching the
fassiez
videos,
ça. Après avoir
after
vu la
listening to
vidéo,
the
après
lady
avoir
and
écouté
gentleman talking about
le
resilience,
monsieur et la dame qui parlent de la
microfinance,
résilience,
challenges,
micro.
what have you, we wanted you to type in 1 or 2 words that, in your opinion, best describe the biggest challenge for inclusive finance in Africa today, based, of course, on what you just saw in the videos, or, indeed, from where you come from. We in Kenya could be having bigger problems. People in Togo could be having much bigger problems. Burkina Faso could be having bigger problems, all right? So because we can't do that online, because we wanted to see the interactions and then choose one word that seems to stand out, may I request my participants couple of you
aux
to volunteer yourselves and tell me
participants de se
from
porter
different
volontaires
countries, right?
et de
I
me
mentioned
dire
earlier we have
de
Nigeria,
différents pays,
we
parce que
have
nous avons le
Burkina
Nigeria,
Faso, we have Togo, we have Senegal, we have Rwanda, Uganda,
Uganda,
and Ethiopia.
l'Ouganda et
What are some of
les
the
autres.
challenges
Quels sont
that
certains
we keep
défis
facing
que nous
when it comes
confrontons
to,
en matière
inclusive or inclusivity in finance in Africa?
inclusivité dans la finance en Afrique? Quelqu'un du Togo?
Someone from Togo?
Quelqu'un du
What
Togo?
are some of the challenges?
Quel-
Any? Oh, from Ethiopia.
Éthiopie.
Round of applause from Ethiopia,
Applaudissements.
please, ladies and gentlemen.
We are from Ethiopia.
Nous
And
venons
the world
d'Éthiopie.
cannot move without having Ethiopia.
Alors, le monde ne peut pas
Thank you. Access is a problem.
Éthiopie. L'accès est un problème. L'accès, voilà, donc c'est le grand défi, c'est l'accès. Ça marche?
Banks.
Les banques en Afrique, pour le Ghana, mesdames et
Yes,
messieurs,
go ahead, sir.
So
alors,
it has to do with
ça a à faire avec la
and it has to do with
confiance
insurance.
et l'assurance.
Trust.
La confiance, c'est le
Access.
mot-clé. L'accès,
Lack of finance when you
manque
don't
de
have,
finances si vous n'avez pas d'argent,
more finance when you have,
plus de finances quand
And-
vous en avez, et
trust.
confiance.
So we have at least keywords.
Nous avons au
These
moins
will
les
probably
mots-clés.
form an interaction of what we'll be
C'est
having
pour
later
l'interaction
on,
que nous
okay,
allons
in our discussion
poursuivre
today.
dans la
Through the
discussion d'aujourd'hui
speakers,
à travers
the
les
moderators,
orateurs,
and the
modérateurs
participants. I'm
et
so sorry we
participants.
weren't able-
Je suis
Oh, there you
désolé.
go.
Voilà donc.
Wait a minute. Did
Attends.
they log in?
Non. Est-ce qu'ils se sont
They managed?
connectés? Ils ont pu
And
se
you didn't tell
connecter
me?
et vous ne m'avez
We're
pas
not
dit.
partners together?
Alors que nous sommes partenaires.
Wakudumu?
Wakudumu.
Ah, mumefanya sidumu. So, okay.
Alors.
So, please help me.
Aidez-moi,
my
s'il vous
lovely
plaît,
delegates.
chers
Which seems to be the
délégués.
bigger word?
Quel est
Because
le
the bigger
mot
the word,
le plus qui
the
apparaît
bigger
le
the
plus?
challenge.
Plus
That's
le
essentially
mot,
what we're saying.
plus le défi.
right? The smaller the
Alors,
words,
moins
the
le
smaller the
mot,
challenge for Africa.
moins
This is coming
le
from you.
défi pour l'Afrique. Ça vient de vous-même.
So which one is it? Between
Entre
digitization,
numérisation,
technology, and
technologie et
availability. Which one is it,
disponibilité.
do you think?
Lequel mot vraiment représente le grand défi?
Accessibility? Is that bigger?
Accessibilité est le plus grand.
Are we? Digitalization.
Numérisation, disons. Plus
Give you impression,
vers le
artistic
client.
impression.
Tout cela se focalise sur le client.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful, isn't it? Just 2 seconds to add a full stop, Mr. Lafort. Just adding a few touches here and there. And there you have it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Geoffrey Lamont. Thank you for executing that perfectly. Look at that. Who would have thought? That's an artist impression. There you go. Another round of applause for Mr. Lafont, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I think here we are. I think we can agree that we all fit in this picture, isn't it? Who's the regulator here? Who's the regulator? Regulators, ooh-wee. Those are the people we fear the most. Regulators, please, you're confident. We thank you for who you are. There they are. Who are investors here? Let me see investors. Oh, wow. All right. All right. These are going to be my permanent friends. Government. Government. Ooh, where's government? There we have government. Welcome. Financial institutions. Where are we? Oh, there we are. We're the majority, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Who is a farmer? Are you a farmer? Great. Thank you. Entrepreneur? Entrepreneur, right? Market vendor? Could be a shopkeeper. It could be, anybody who sells farm inputs and what have you. Do we have market vendors? All right? So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another wonderful round of applause for Mr. Geoffrey Lafont. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being kind. Of course, as we wind up, what we see on the screen is a reflection of our mission, staying focused on clients, not despite change, but through change. Throughout this week, you will hear stories, share lessons, and build partnerships to make this vision a reality. Let this drawing remind us of why we're here, because we're people first. Our graphic facilitator has been kind enough to finalize with symbolic touches, rays of light, stars, and the sun behind the word client. Because this is who we are. All of us are clients. Our focus today will be that, and our focus this week will be that. Thank you once again, Mr. Geoffrey. We really appreciate you. You can continue to celebrate these, take pictures, send them on. And then one final thing I want us to do, because I want us to take a short break, and then we'll be back in like half an hour, all right? This was just an interactive session, and I hope you loved it. Did we like it? It was good. Didn't make you sleepy, did we? Next one, I will. Yeah, no. It will be exciting, okay? Because we have wonderful speakers, wonderful moderators who will be joining us later. But here's what I want us to do, because I want people to know that we're in Nairobi, Kenya today, and we're indeed celebrating this week, all right? SAM 2025. We have our hashtag on our socials. I want you to take a picture with as many people as you possibly can, all right? Please do. Even the people you're sitting next to, right? Might be from the same country, might be from a different country. I want you to take a picture and post it on our socials today, all right? The hashtag is SAM 2025. Can we do that? I know we all have smartphones. Please, let's do that. Let's do that. I want us to take pictures, yeah. So many pictures, right? Because I want this hashtag to trend today in Nairobi, Kenya. There you go. Smiles, smiles, ladies and gentlemen. Please do. If you want to stand up, you can do that. All right? Okay? All right? I'll just give you a couple of seconds. All right? Go to our socials, SAM 2025. The hashtag is SAM 2025. Post the pictures there. Let the people know that we're discussing microfinance and challenges that we're facing, the resilience of the African people, and indeed, the partnership with our global partners. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is now 4 minutes past 10 o'clock. I've gone beyond by 4 minutes. Please forgive me. But we intended to take a break. We'll start off with the Kenyan national anthem, and thereafter
While still standing, let me invite Madam Nancy for a word of prayer.
Let's bow our heads for prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you this morning. We thank you for this day. We thank you, Jehovah God, for the Psalm 2025. As we beginning of this conference, Father, we invite your presence as we ask you that, God, you will lead us and you will be with us during the discussions of this two-day conference. Thank you, God, for the official opening. Thank you, God, for each and every country that is represented in this forum. Want to pray that the discussions and deliberations of this forum will help the unity and the progress of the continent of Africa. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Madam Nancy. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to welcome all of you to Nairobi, Kenya. If it's your first time, I'm sure you are enjoying yourself. If this is the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and if you stay here, karibu tena. We are a wonderful people, very warm, very hospitable, and we enjoy to be in the company of great people from different countries and people from the entire globe. I want to recognize all our delegates today. Before I even mention who our guests are here today, I'd like to recognize once again our delegates from France. Where are you? Where are you? There you go. I'd like to recognize our delegates from Madagascar. I forgot to mention earlier. There you go. There they are. Wonderful people from Madagascar. Where are my wonderful people from Burkina Faso? Where are you? There you go. Where are wonderful people from Luxembourg? Are they here? There you go, wonderful people. My wonderful people from the neighboring country of Uganda. Where are you? Still in the house. This is a roll call, by the way, yeah? My people from Togo. Where are you? Great. Where are the wonderful people from Senegal? I want to see if they're here. Right. Ghana. Ghana, well represented. Nigeria. Where are my people? Igwe. That one. A round of applause for wonderful people from Nigeria. Rwanda, people from Kigali. There they are. Karibu sana. Welcome. The wonderful people from Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, there you are. There you are, thank you. And Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Okay, good. And my people from Kenya. Kenya. Where are you? Where are you, my people? Are you there? Fantastic. Did I forget anybody? Tanzania. Goja. What? Let me take the roll call properly. Okay. You guys are special. That's why I don't want to do it over there. You guys are special. Okay. So tell me slowly. Who is here? Tanzania. Ndugu zetu wa Tanzania. Our brothers and sisters from Tanzania. A round of applause from Tanzania. Okay. Yes, sir. Mauritania, ladies and gentlemen. Ethiopia. Where are Ethiopia? Where is Burundi? My people from Burundi. Wait, let me come. Where are my people from Cameroon? Yaoundé. Fantastic. From Guinea. Yes, from Guinea. A round of applause from Guinea. Yes. Sierra Leone, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause from Sierra Leone. Mali, let's go, Mali, for Mali. Malawi, there's Mali and there's Malawi. From India, hey, you made it. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. They made it.
Who else? Benin. Let me hear from Benin. Benin. Ah, Italia. My goodness. Welcome. That is Italy. That's the last one because of the beautiful smile. That's the last one. Yes. Who else? Mozambique. Let's go for Mozambique. Is there Angola? Angola? Zambia. Somebody from Zambia. Welcome. Lusaka is such a beautiful place. Now let's go. South Africa. South Africa? Tunisia. Oh my God, Tunisia. Wonderful round of applause. Morocco? Congo. Morocco. Fantastic. Algeria? Egypt? Niger? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Yes, sir. That's Niger. A round of applause for Niger. Botswana? Lesotho? Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe? Round of applause for Zimbabwe. Have I forgotten anyone before I come to the last one with a beautiful smile? The last one. United States of America. That one. Please, a round of applause for United States of America. My God, this is the entire world right here. Okay, Israel? Yeah? Yeah? No. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for South Sudan right here.
The baby nation.
All right, good. All right, now I think we're done with the roll call. I will do it again, okay? And if I forget again, please pardon me, all right? So we are changing the program just a little bit. We're still waiting for our dignitaries to come in. Some of them are here, but we're waiting also for the host dignitary to come so that we can continue. But we're changing the program in such a way that we were supposed to have a plenary session immediately after our keynote addresses from our dignitaries. So we're having to bring that forward so that when our dignitaries are all here, we can go into the speech as success. And we thank you as success. And we thank you wherever you are from the bottom of our hearts. On behalf of the organizers, we say thank you for your partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to invite a gentleman who will give us a keynote and also which will serve as a preamble to our plenary session much later on. He is a renowned human rights advocate and a Nobel Peace Prize nominee. Through INET and his advisory work with the UNHCR, he champions peace building, social justice, and the empowerment of conflict-affected youth across the entire continent of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome on stage Mr. Victor Oshen, the Executive Director and Global Advisor, INET, and also stroke UNHCR. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Victor, please.
Hello, can you hear me? I know it's also approaching lunchtime. In Uganda, we have lunch early and have breakfast later on. But I'm happy to be here with you this afternoon. It's approaching afternoon. I'm happy to be with you. And most importantly, thank you so much for welcoming me, our Master of Ceremony, for the gracious introduction and giving me opportunity to meet the wonderful people from the global communities. I am delighted to be part of this wonderful journey today because I did not expect it would be this big, and I am here happy to be part of a global audience that are committed to transforming lives all over the world. I'm happy and I'm excited for the opportunity. What we can be proud about is where are we in the world of today, and who do we stand for, who do we represent, who do we support. This is the kind of questions that probably drove the thinking, the design, the planning of this magnificent event. I want to take the opportunity to say a sincere word of gratitude to the organizers for Psalms 2025, for the sponsors who made possible the resources to make sure we are all gathered here. Also to you, the distinguished executives and guests in your different capacities, and most importantly, to the host nation, the Republic of Kenya, the people of Kenya. Thank you so much for having us home. We are excited, we are proud, and most of you might have known, whenever somebody comes to Kenya, they will start by learning one song. That is called Jambo. I know Jambo is a very popular song. I know Jambo is one song that everybody, either from the airport or you're enjoying the beauty of the national parks, the wildlife in this country, or culture and arts, you always listen to Jambo. I love it myself. But most importantly, there's another song that I want to introduce. You might have heard, or you have not yet heard. Not that I'm going to play now, but since you have technologies, you can also look for it. That song is called Ovivo ni adui mkubwa. I don't understand Swahili. That's all I understand, that Ovivo ni adui mkubwa, which the translation would probably mean that poverty is our biggest enemy. Poverty is our biggest enemy. I hope I'm right, my Kenyan family members. For those who speak Swahili, because I don't speak Swahili, I'm from Uganda. Today being here, with the theme of the meeting being refocusing on the vulnerable people to meet the upcoming challenges in an inclusive finance in Africa, cannot be a better choice of theme to talk about right now. Especially in a society, a community, a continent where we're seeing struggles ranging from the north to east to south to west. Africa historically has struggled. Africa has offered to the world the best it can in human resource, in raw materials, in so many ways. But majority of African populations are also caught up in inevitable challenges and suffering. Discussing how we refocus on the vulnerable people comes on a very personal point from my side as well. If you look at that, I thought about maybe the best be to tackle it from the three areas of focus, which I regard as trilemma of struggle in Africa. The trilemma of struggle in Africa would mean conflict. It would mean poverty. It would mean the climate change. Why did I call it trilemma? Because I'm looking at how each and every harm of the three angles contribute to the other one. How poverty causes conflict, how conflict causes climate change, how climate change causes poverty, and how, without tackling all of them at once, would mean we are not going to find amicable solutions. But the question comes, how do we approach it, knowing that as a continent we are struggling to meet the needs of the weak and the most vulnerable in our society? It's no longer the question whether we can avoid to address the question of poverty, climate change, or conflict, but it is a matter of can we survive without tackling them? It comes down to how do we adapt as a community? How do we forge a way to mitigate the shocks and turmoils around economic prosperity? How do we withstand the fragilities that we are seeing in the continent? And also, most importantly, how do we help society rise again? Collectively, we have the opportunity to do so. Why I'm saying so is because terrorism, conflict, climate crisis thrives in the minds of the poor, as well as the poor young people. We need to tackle it. We also know that we have a choice to either move together and say we are not leaving the poor and the weak and the vulnerable behind and move forward as a continent, or we fall back into a divided world, which has not helped us move forward for so many years. You know, a little bit, as I'm talking about this, I want to make a recount of my personal life. As I said, I'm from Uganda. I was born in the northern part of Uganda. So that makes my coming to this platform today with a personal history of working on several fronts in conflicts, in supporting the population who are struggling with the effects of conflict, and also my experience do inform my convictions that I feel in every crisis there's an opportunity. But how do we tap that opportunity is the question. Today, I'm proud to be here. I was born in war in northern Uganda. I grew up in the camp of internally displaced persons for more than 20 years. My life is being defined by war in so many ways. When you talk about fragility, I know what it means to be fragile. You talk about poverty, I know what it means to be poor. When you talk about environmental destruction, I know what it means to destroy environment because we have no alternative to survive. You know, conflict is difficult. It's very difficult for something good to come out of war. But the question is, how do we transform our trauma, our pain, our suffering into an opportunity as a vulnerable person to become a leader willing to bring about change in a society that you were born and raised in? With this, if there is something that poverty taught me more about, is money. Poverty taught me so much about money, more than any bank, any university ever did. Because I got to realize, I saw my parents struggling to raise just $1 to treat us or to provide treatment when we are sick of malaria. And I know what it means to have no money at all. That's why, to me, sitting here today and discussing about refocusing on the vulnerable people in Africa is the best choice ever made by this initiative, to make sure that let us not just talk about them, let us see how do we bring them at the forefront. Also, growing up in war, you are left with very minimal choices. Do you choose to pick up the weapons and join the fight, or you choose to take a different direction? This is the struggle that majority of many people in the continent are going through, the young people are going through right now. But one thing I learned also from war is that rebuilding a broken society starts with rebuilding shattered lives. And that's why the choice of refocusing on the vulnerable people makes the most meaning if you have to seek to build a sustainable and prosperous Africa. You know, 20 years doing the work I do, have learned one thing. People go through conflict, people go through fragility, through losses. They expect PTSD, they go through trauma, extreme trauma. But one most important thing that becomes a menace is economic trauma. Society cannot progress if we are unable to address the economic trauma. And that's why looking for alternative of giving opportunity to young people, women in our households, members of our society, a chance to make a living for themselves is the most important thing. It takes me back to what I said earlier about the best music in Kenya being Ovivunia Dui Mukubwa. And that means poverty is the biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy is not your brother that is fighting in the bush. It's the poverty that we have in a house. Could be poverty of economy, poverty of knowledge, poverty of trust. So many deficiencies that we have to tackle. You know, I'm happy to be here today because history has also been part of my life. I have been lucky to travel around the world with my work in my small community from the IDP camp, where we transformed our trauma into leadership. Have moved, I've learned, I've read about the continent, and I've seen from the north to south to west to east. And most recently, 2 weeks ago, had the opportunity to travel to Tanzania, just next door. As always, whenever I'm in Tanzania, I try as much as I can to visit Zanzibar. I've been to Zanzibar before. I've learned about it. I've moved through. But this time around, when I was in Zanzibar, I took time again to go through the powerful historical sites, the slave market. I went to the church. I went through many platforms. I could have walked on my own, but I decided, let me have the tour guide to take me around. When he took me through, I went through the chambers where they could bring slaves and they could keep slaves. The tour guide told me stories. Who were the people involved? How people made so much money out of human suffering. But one thing that caught my eye, that touched my attention the most, was when this tour guide told me that, you see, Victor, everything you see here has been redone, has been improved, except the chain. The chain is original. The chain is original. I said, wow, that's powerful. Because when you look at life, when you look at the struggle, at the continent, the years that we have been through, the key words I got there is the chain is original. Talk about vulnerability. If it's original, in what form do we have chains now? I was in the highland of Zanzibar. But when I learned a lot about what was going on, I've been to Gore Highland, but stories I was told there, most importantly, was how then slave trade was the most lucrative business after ivory, after minerals, other minerals. How children were made to suffer. But connecting to the chain being original was, who are the chain holders today in our system? In our political system, in our economic system, cultural system, religious system. The move that has held the continent back in so many ways. Today, we have to be inclusive in building a dignified Africa, is the call, is the commitment. But also, always we see the broken history of our continent, distorted. We always only see the history that makes us weak and powerless. But history should guide us to the progress. And it's also a warning sign if we are reflecting much more. Africa has been robbed. Africa continues to be robbed. But who are the robbers? Are we safe? Are we not involved in this? Of course, these are grim stories that portrays the consequences when truth is buried under a very strong mountain of falsehood, paired with poverty and lack of accountability. Therefore, if we move forward, it's a choice. We can sustain our people's suffering by refusing to let them go free, by refusing to unchain them from poverty, by keeping them hostage. And that's why we're where we are today. Brothers and sisters, the chain is original because there are currently over 120 million school-going African children who can't go to school simply due to the displacement as a result of climate change and conflict. All these 100 million plus children, African children who can't study, is a sign of failure on our side. That's why I'm saying the chain is original. There are over 300 million young Africans who can't find jobs. Look at the workforces that we're losing. Imagine if all these 300 million young people were given opportunity to pick up, to become somewhere. Where would the continent be by now? Also, Africa has become the biggest victims of clean energy transition. Materials used for making our cities around the world clean are from Africa. But at what cost? At what cost? How is that possible? It is possible because the chain is original. Young people today are dying in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to escape the continent in search for opportunities. Because when they are here, they are made to feel they are not good enough to be part of this. Let's also wonder, why is that in sub-Saharan Africa alone, we currently have over 200 rebel groups fighting all conflicts related to natural resource. What can we do about this? As difficult as it is, as risky as it is, and also as demanding as it is, I think let us agree that the principal focus of financial inclusion or inclusive finance for the vulnerable people is one of the best opportunities to get the continent out of poverty. It's the only opportunity to unchain those populations who are trapped. End of slavery and collapse of colonialism should have brought us hope, but we have got people, the Tipo-Tips. The history, if you study the history, Tipo-Tip was one of the slave masters who knew so well how to move around, navigate his way around the continent, getting people. He made so much money. He did everything he could to get as rich as he could. But who are the Tipo-Tips of today? They are people who are prospering on the suffering of our very African people. The Tipo-Tips may not even be in Europe or in America. The Tipo-Tips might be at home with us in the continent. They thrive on our people's suffering. What I would say as I conclude would be, let us focus on the root causes of conflict. Let us focus on the root causes of climate change. Let us address the root causes of poverty. And by doing so, we shouldn't just do business for profit, but we should be at the forefront of fighting the effects of climate change, financing it, the forefront of promoting human rights by financing it. Let's take a center stage at defending freedom by financing it and also promoting the lasting peace by supporting the peace-building programs in the continent. No longer can we just be measuring our development as a continent based on GDP, but let us look at the households, the income. Are people able to meet the basic needs to feed and care and treat their children who are sick? If they are unable to do so, we should be able to reflect on how we are approaching things. Colleagues, my understanding is that a heartless wealthy person is more dangerous to the society. A heartless wealthy person is more dangerous to the society. You have all the money, but you have kept it for yourself, unwilling to let it go, unwilling to share to a population who are suffering. We can change that. Of course, we know inequality has killed so many dreams of young Africans, and to the point that they don't see opportunities at home. And also, I know we are all here, the most respected entrepreneurs and philanthropists. You are leaders and you mean well. I think you should use your economic means to stabilize Africa. You have the power, you have the capacity, and I'm happy that you are looking at the vulnerable persons in the grassroots. Let us also know that as we are going to do so, we will go against the wave that has for long kept the continent hostage. There has been this politics of poverty. People want to keep their people poor for easy control, to reduce their citizens to become beggars. We know in a society where poverty is normalized and institutionalized, it's not going to be an easy journey if you come in to empower the vulnerable persons, because you are breaking their power. And our generation, we should also must know that we are not only celebrating the historical struggle by our forefathers, but let us embrace and also continue and finish the unfinished work. Second, lastly, let us realize that no business will survive if people are not surviving. We also know in a society where we are today, there's always not going to be enough money including even people with the resources. Enough will not always be too little. But how are we willing to share the little we have to help uplift the weak and the most vulnerable in our society? You know, a path forward we can't afford to lose right now is mobilizing the good faith of the population, of the citizens who are affected, and we leverage on their experiences and learn from how they were impacted and how they are positively impacting their society. Building resilience through inclusive finance is okay, but it should not only be about economic prosperity, but should be about what is right and right for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be complicit in auto injustice, neither should we be the beneficiaries. I hope with us together, working together, when we include them, when we bring the weak and the vulnerable in the society, we are giving the continent one-way ticket out of conflict. If we empower people economically, we are giving the continent one-way ticket out of conflict. But how do we give them one-way ticket out of conflict? Is give them one-way ticket out of poverty. And how to do that is give them one-way ticket to inclusion. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Victor Ocean. Thank you. I invite you back to your seat. Another round of applause for Mr. Victor Ocean. Thank you so much for your keynote, which indeed marks the preamble for plenary session, which will be the first one for this week. And we want to thank you so much. I think you've captured a lot of the issues that we had raised earlier on, and that some of the issues that are going to be discussed throughout the week by our moderators, our speakers, and indeed our participants. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for starting us off on a high note. Ladies and gentlemen, I now want to present a couple of panelists who are going to be joining me on stage so that we can begin a conversation, and then thereafter we'll be inviting our dignitaries to come and make their keynote addresses. Let me first by mentioning the institutions which they represent, and then I'll be calling them up on stage. The Association for Microfinance Institutions of Kenya is a member-based umbrella network for microfinance, business, and microfinance service providers, established and registered under the Societies Act since 1999. Since its inception, AMFIK, as it is popularly known, has been a key driver of Kenya's microfinance industry, with a mission to create a conducive environment for the development of microfinance institutions, MFIs, if you may, their clients, and the overall business ecosystem. Here to represent AMFIK is none other than the AMFIK Vice Chair. He represents the leading voice of Kenya's microfinance sector, advocating for policies and partnerships that advance financial inclusion and empower small businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Simon Kamore, who I'll be asking him to join me up on stage and take up his seat. Karibu sana. Vision Fund is the microfinance arm of World Vision, empowering families in poverty through small loans, savings, and insurance through our network, or rather through the network of 24 microfinance institutions in 25 countries, and as part of World Vision's wider presence in nearly 100 countries. They serve over 1 million borrowers, 2/3 of them being women, and many in rural areas. Beyond credit, they also provide financial literacy and insurance protection against crises, ensuring over 2 million people today globally, of course, both in Africa and the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite on stage the Global Director, Inclusive Insurance, Madame Solène Favara. She leads Vision Fund's inclusive insurance strategy, expanding access to risk protection for the vulnerable populations. Her work supports resilience and financial security for low-income families and micro-entrepreneurs globally. Currently, she also wears another hat. She represents the Microinsurance Network, also known as MIN, which connects global experts to make insurance accessible for low-income and vulnerable communities. Ladies and gentlemen, Madame Solène Favara, welcome.
The African Development Bank is Africa's premier development finance institution. It comprises three distinct entities: the Africa Development Bank, AFDB, as we popularly know it, the African Development Bank Fund, ADF, as well as the Nigerian Trust Fund, also known as NTF. On the ground in 44 African countries with an external office in Japan, the AFDB contributes to the economic development and the social progress of its 54 regional members. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to put your hands together as I invite the Director General East Africa Regional Business Delivery Office from AFDB, Mr. Alex Mubiru, who also oversees the AFDB's strategic engagement and operations in East Africa. A warm round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us. Last but not least, the European Investment Bank is one of the largest multilateral financial institutions in the world. It is the financial arm of the European Union and owned by 27 member states. Outside of the EU, the EIB, as it is fondly known, invests through its development arm, EIB Global, and supports climate action, economic growth, as well as development through inclusive finance undertaken by both the public and the private sector. The EIB invests heavily in underserved sectors and underserved segments of the population, all with an aim of enhancing access to finance. The EIB has been active in Africa since 1963, and the continent remains a strategic focus for the EU and the EIB under the Global Gateway Strategy. Let me now invite on stage Mr. Edward Klassen, who is the head of the AIB Regional Hub for East Africa, based here in Nairobi, Kenya. He tells me he's very familiar with this country. If I say habari to him, he'll be able to answer me immediately and say mzuri sana. Is that true, Bwana Edward? You know a couple of words in Swahili, don't you?
Ndio.
Habari yako.
Niko salama. Na wewe?
A round of applause for Mr. Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the keynote address by Mr. Victor Ocean, I know you've picked up a couple of notes. Key being the issues, the challenges, the resilience, the trust, accessibility, conflict, challenges to do with climate change and what have you. I've just summed up, all right? But my question to you today, in light of the crises highlighted in the keynote, and that is specifically to do with conflict, climate, and even migration, what are, do you think, the main barriers preventing financial institutions from reaching and serving all clients fairly, especially those most affected by these disruptions? Let me start with you, Mr. Kamara.
Okay, thank you, Honorable. My name is Simon Kamole, as has been mentioned. I think the space that we are living today has brought to an end what you used to see in the 1990s, particularly in the service provision of the microfinance institutions. Every microfinance institution used to be a copy-paste. Okay, yeah. Every microfinance institution used to be a copy-paste of another. The products were similar. The method or the methodology of the service delivery was the same. Everything was the same, including what we call the product profile. But the changing environment means now that we have to rethink in terms of service delivery and actually redefine what is finance. Originally we thought that finance is money, but today we can only talk about financial services. So the dynamics that we are seeing today is that the microfinance actors will have to rethink in terms of how do they get feedback of the target market that they want to serve, so that even as they formulate the financial services or solutions, those solutions can be speaking to the actual needs of the people they want to serve. Because we can't have one product that is fit for all. The era for having products that are one fit for all has ended. So some of the things I think, a lot of research needs to be done. A lot of work in terms of getting feedback from the people that we are serving needs to be done. And basically, it means even as we roll out the financial services, they have to be coupled with a lot of capacity building so that we are able to grow up the people we are serving so that the products we are serving with may be wholesome and not products that will be putting them into bondage. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you very much. Some questions to you, Madam Salem, and I want you to give us an input also from the side of World Vision. And I know you interact with so many communities, most of whom are vulnerable, not just in Africa, but the entire world. So the same question to you, but put into consideration, especially the experiences you see or you encounter as World Vision.
Yes, thank you. So, what holds us back from truly serving clients? So this is such an important question, and honestly what holds us back is not the lack of intention. It's really, I believe most of financial institutions want to reach the most vulnerable. This is true, but we can see a lot of barriers, and as the first barrier we can mention about, and our colleagues from Ethiopia mentioned that this earlier this morning, access and affordability. So the families most affected by crises, by climate shocks, live in very remote areas. They live in very fragile context, and where it's costly and also risky to deliver financial services. And the second is trust. Trust was also mentioned in your slide earlier this morning. So trust and knowledge gap. Many of our clients have never used insurance before. They might not really understand how it works, and also they might doubt that a payout will come when they need it. But that's why financial and insurance education is key, and helping families not to see insurance as an expense, but really as a protection. And of course, the risks themselves. So the risks have changed. The risks are intensifying: drought, flood, conflict, migration. And we can see that for many providers, these can feel uninsurable without strong partnership and risk-sharing mechanism. So at Vision Fund, we have seen that when we combine microloan with insurance and back it with education and digital innovation, it really works. As you said, we now insure more than 2 million people across our network, and in places like here in East Africa, with insurance, people can recover months faster from drought or hospitalization, and they keep their businesses running, their children in school, and meal on the table. We all watched the video from Matthew Genazini from the Microinsurance Network, who reminded us that in Africa is seeing steady growth in inclusive insurance, but still only around 1 of 10 people who need protection are covered. So that gap is both the biggest challenge, but also the biggest opportunity. So yes, it works, and the real challenge is in terms of mindset. We have to stop seeing the poorest as too risky or too uninformed, and insurance as only a social benefit on the top of the core business, which is credit. With the right partnership, education, and belief in resilience, people can, and they do, build stronger, more secure futures, while insurance can really become a real business line for NFI.
Thank you so much, Madam Salem. To you, Mr. Alex Mobile, similar question, and your take, please.
Thank you very much. Maybe I should first state that as a contributing partner to this year's Psalm 25, our institution is honored greatly to join this distinguished group of stakeholders engaging in meaningful dialogue and collaboration aimed at advancing inclusive finance across the continent. So as the African Development Bank, we see inclusion as a multidimensional goal. Our commitment is to ensure that no one is left behind, regardless of income, gender, geography, and age. These 4 lenses shape every aspect of our approach to inclusive finance. So despite progress, persistent barriers remain. If you permit me, I'll share 4, and I'll briefly touch upon some of the things the African Development Bank is doing in this space. So first, identification and KYC constraints continue to exclude millions. This is especially so for women in the informal sector, young people without formal documentation, and people displaced by conflict or those who live in remote areas. That's why the African Development Bank supports digital ID and tiered KYC frameworks so that all people, regardless of where they live or their background, can access financial services. Second, infrastructure gaps. And here I'm talking about both physical and digital gaps. These disproportionately affect rural communities, low-income households, and those in fragile regions. So our investments as a bank in rural broadband, in agent banking, and in interoperable payment systems are designed to bridge these divides to ensure that geography and poverty do not determine access. Third, there's the issue of risk aversion among providers, which means that low-income, crisis-prone, or marginalized groups, especially women, young people, rural entrepreneurs, are often left out. Through our blended finance, guarantee funds, risk-sharing mechanisms, the African Development Bank is helping local financial institutions across the continent to extend credit to those who need it most, including women-led SMEs and young entrepreneurs. Finally, there's the issue of social and knowledge barriers, such as gender bias, age discrimination, and low financial literacy. These continue to hold back true inclusion. So we have an initiative called Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, or AFAWA for short, which is closing the 42 billion financing gap for women entrepreneurs. We also have youth entrepreneurship programs and financial literacy campaigns, which empower young people and rural communities across the continent. So in conclusion, inclusion is not a single issue challenge, at least the way we see it. It's about addressing the intersecting barriers of income, of gender, of geography, and age, so that every African, in every circumstance, can participate fully in the financial system. The FDB is committed to working with all partners to make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mbiri. To you, Mr. Klassen, same question, but with a bit of a twist. Correct me if I'm wrong, 30, 40 years ago, banking institutions, bankers like yourselves, would never have been talking about conflict, climate change, migration as being a hindrance or a barrier towards reaching clients, people in vulnerable communities and what have you, when they wanted financial assistance. But here we are, 30, 40 years later, and this biggest striking thing is that climate change is here with us. Conflicts within, the continent of Africa, globally, are here with us. They're not going away. So these are big challenges that we're not going to wish them away quickly. What's your take?
Yeah, I think indeed times have changed. Maybe back in the old days, just providing finance was enough. I think these days DFIs need to be partners for much longer and really go on the journey together to make sure beneficiaries have a sustainable path to growth and to be more resilient. For me and for the EIB, I think it is important that all the different let's say, partners in the inclusive finance sector engage regularly and discuss on a regular basis how to address the current issues. Government has to provide the enabling structures, infrastructure, as well as the appropriate regulatory systems. Banks and financial institutions need to be the critical distribution channel, but they quite often need a bit of support and maybe technical assistance to really serve the riskiest and the most vulnerable smaller clients.
and microfinance institutions and fintechs, they are the most agile. They are best able to reach the most vulnerable beneficiaries in the underserved markets. Now, having regular exchanges and getting feedback between all of us, all these different participants in the inclusive finance segment, I think that will bring us to what is really needed in the market and what is the best way to adapt our product offering to best serve everyone that needs the finance. So importantly, as you say, to create, to put meals on the table and to be able to support our families. At EIB, I would also say that we have quite strict reporting requirements, and we quite strict follow-up with our investments. We have close monitoring, so that also teaches us what is working, what is not working, where is the uptake taking place, where can we change, what needs to be offered, and this, let's say, this feedback loop between all the participants, I think is the best way to ensure that our tools and our interventions remain relevant and to adjust our future interventions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Klassen. My final question, which I'd like all of you to take about a minute to answer. You've interacted with countries similar to Kenya, countries within the continent, Togo, Senegal, Ethiopia, and the likes. My question is this: have you found ways in which countries are mitigating through these barriers? And if so, how? Let me start with you, Mr. Kamara.
Okay, so thank you once again. Institutions are coming up with various innovative ways of serving and breaking these barriers. I want to give an example because I know even in my own country we have people who are serving the refugees. And when you look at the refugees, they don't have a national ID number. Most of them, because of lack of the national ID number, they again cannot access a mobile phone number, which is generally usable in Kenya for mobile banking. But you'll find that through a lot of partnerships with the people who are serving in the refugee community, institutions are able to serve. And so where there is will, there is a way of serving these unique communities, refugees, and also to address the challenges around the climate risk, where we battle, or institutions are battling the financial services to ensure that in it there is an insurance package that takes care that in the event that if it is a crop that is being financed or animals that are being financed, and then there are vagaries of whether that come either flooding or drought, then the customers or the clients are not left vulnerable. So what I would say that is possible, it requires a lot of listening to the customers and understanding the risks that face the people we want to uplift from poverty and the people we want to serve. That's my take.
Thank you, Mr. Kamori. Madam Salim.
Yeah, at Vision Fund, we believe that keeping clients at the center is not just a good practice, it's transformative, especially when life does not go as planned. So let me share the story of a member, Mr. Veniste, from Rwanda. Veniste is a farmer. He is a member of World Vision Savings Group, getting a loan with Vision Fund. Life hit him very hard. He lost his wife, Clarisse, and later a severe infection cost him his leg. But instead of losing everything, he had support. His Vision Fund loan was bundled with microinsurance, which covered hospital bills, funeral costs, farmers' workers' wage, and school fees for his children. That protection gave him breathing space when he needed it most. With that stability, he adapted, moving from vegetable farming, which he could no longer physically manage, to raising pigs, a business he could sustain. Today his farm is thriving, and of course his children are still in school. So what can Kenya and Africa learn from Veniste's story and from what we do, Vision Fund, our work globally? First, bundle insurance with credit. Loans alone are not enough when clients face hardship, health, life, climate shocks. Second, respond to clients' realities. Design flexible products that adapt as their circumstances change. Third, leverage trusted community groups. They bring the relationship that make the delivery possible. Fourth, protect human capital, helping families keep children in school, meals on the table, and maintain dignity through crises. And finally, build capacities of your team. Vision Fund International also serves as a technical assistance provider, supporting MFI, even beyond the Vision Fund network, NGOs to design and deliver insurance products, to also optimize the insurance business, based on our expertise across the globe and adapted to the local context. If Kenya and Africa can scale solutions like this, combining insurance, loans, savings, and deep listening, communities won't just recover, they will thrive. That's what keeping clients at the center truly means. It's about giving people the tools and trust to turn their hardest situation moments into new opportunities and new beginnings. Thank you.
Thank you, to you, Mr. Badir.
Thank you again. So the most successful models globally are those that recognize the diversity of client needs. At least that's what we found. So, for example, India, there's a gentleman from India here, India's digital ID system enabled mass inclusion by making it easier for women, for rural residents and low-income people to access financial services. In places like China and Bangladesh, digital payment platforms have reached even the most remote and underserved populations, focusing on user convenience and affordability. But we don't have to go very far here in Kenya. I don't need to tell folks about M-Pesa, which has set a global benchmark. But even with M-Pesa and its competitors and copycats, further progress can be made by expanding digital infrastructure, simplifying KYC, designing products that specifically address the needs of women, young people, rural communities, and low-income households. At the African Development Bank, we support digital ID systems, agent networks, tiered KYC structures on these very groups. The key lesson is that inclusion must be intentional and multidimensional. By co-creating solutions with communities, regulators, fintechs, and by always asking whether our policies and products impact people across income levels, across gender, across geography, and across age, we can ensure that digital financial services are not just available, but truly accessible and empowering for all. So maybe just in closing to say that inclusive finance is not just about access, it's about empowerment, resilience, and opportunity for every African, regardless of circumstance. By learning from global best practices, investing in innovation, and putting clients at the center of everything we do, we can build a more inclusive, resilient, and prosperous Africa. The African Development Bank stands ready to work with all partners to make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally to you, Mr. Klassen.
Thank you. Yes, I believe we need a more comprehensive approach, and what I mean with that is we need more catalytic finance, for example, to finance women entrepreneurs and gender-smart businesses to help them overcome the inherent vulnerability of women businesses. We need tailored technical assistance to strengthen gender-focused lending activities of the banks, so they are better able to serve their clients, and in particular women-owned businesses, and also directly provide TA to women and to small businesses. Very often we see small businesses are not necessarily have all the skills to run a business, set up a business, and grow a business, and TA can really be a game changer there. We also are very much in favor of fora like this to exchange ideas, to share knowledge, to share the data that we get from the market, and this will boost innovation. And this is very important to make our interventions more effective. For example, the European Investment Bank, we work with foundations like the Gates Foundation, but also with Team Europe partners, with EU member states, with the World Bank, African Development Bank, to jointly set up initiatives. And we recently set up the Women for Stronger Communities and Growth at the most recent UN conference in Seville. And this is an initiative that aims to catalyze €1 billion to uplift women's roles in critical value chains like in energy, in water, agri-food, healthcare, etc. And this is very closely aligned with the EU's Global Gateway priorities, and we see this as a win-win partnership that is good for the general economy, good for small businesses, and for inclusive finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klassen. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this open plenary session. But I wish we had more time indeed even to engage with some of you, but I know we'll have the opportunity to do that in our subsequent plenary sessions that we're going to have this afternoon and later today. Please help me appreciate the ladies and gentlemen who are here with us today, the Director General, Mr. Alex Maguri from AFAB, Mr. Edward Klassen, the Head of Regional Hub, EIB, and Madame Soren Forin, the Global Director, Micro Insurance Network, and also Mr. Simon Kamori, who is our host, and also Chairman Alfie Kenya. Thank you so much. I want to invite you back to your seats, but immediately after the photo session, right? Seated or standing? Standing, all right, great, all right. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to these wonderful people once again. Thank you so much, all right? Thank you.
Asante sana. While that is going on, just a little bit of housekeeping. One, I understand our dignitaries are here and they'll be joining us in the hall very soon. We'll have just about 4 speeches before we come to a break. We have a photo area that's on the left, my side, and the right from your end. Immediately after the events of today or this morning come to an end, we will do a photo op with the dignitaries and of course some of the speakers, the panelists who've been here, and indeed we'll encourage a lot of you who are delegates to also come in and take a photo session with us, so that this will be a remarkable moment for all of us to remember. So I know you have takeaways from Mr. Victor Shen's keynote and speech. I know you have takeaways from the panelists. So I'm just going to give our organizers just a few minutes before our dignitaries come in, and then we can begin with our speeches. My understanding is that our Cabinet Secretary, who is in charge of the Ministry for Cooperatives and Medium and Small Medium Enterprises, is going to be joining us today. The Principal Secretary, also in charge of the Department of MSMEs, is going to be joining us. We are also so humble to be, of course, in the presence of this event being graced by the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Affairs and Defense Minister from Luxembourg, Mr. Javier Benet, and I'll be introducing them once they walk in. What I'd like us to do eventually when they come in is to rise up, and then we'll do just one stanza of the national anthem, and then begin with the speeches. So bear with us. We'll be starting these events in a very brief moment. I allow you an opportunity to interact, take more pictures. Like I said earlier on, we need to get the hashtag, right? I need to see my wonderful people from South Sudan taking pictures with the wonderful people from the United States of America, Ethiopia with the Senegalese counterparts, all right? You can do that quietly, yeah? Move in and then take pictures, interact as we wait for our dignitaries to begin, all right? So we'll be with you shortly, bear with us, but just a couple of minutes, and then we'll begin again with the final section of this morning session, and then we'll break for lunch, all right? Please bear with us, thank you. Thank you, buddy.
Is that loud? Oh, sorry. Did I wake you up? Hi. How are you? It's me again. How you doing? We're okay? So here's the thing. I want to make this an interactive session, all right? And I know I denied you a couple of opportunities to ask questions to members of the panel, right? But I have 2 volunteers, and I'm thinking maybe we should open it up now. We might not get the other chances later on until the plenary session. Any question on what was being discussed today? Can we do that for a few minutes? So that when the dignitaries come in, we end it and then we continue, right? Do we have some burning questions? Do we have some questions to the 2 gentlemen that I want to invite on stage? Just on matters finance, conflict, climate, issues about trust, issues about accessibility. There's a very good question from a gentleman who said, when you don't have money, it becomes difficult to borrow. But when you have plenty of it, banks are like, come, isn't it? Can we have that discussion now? Do you promise me you have questions? Going once. Questions, anybody? Or maybe I should bring the gentleman in front first, yeah? Please, welcome on stage Mr. Simon Kamoyo once again, the chairman Amphi, and there you go, and Mr. Victor Shet, please. A round of applause for these wonderful gentlemen. They've decided and they've agreed to take up a few questions so that we can make this an interactive session as we wait for our guests. So you have Mr. Victor Oshen and Mr. Simon Kamorio from Amphi. Victor is the Executive Director, INET, and also UNHCR, right? Go ahead. Please tell us your name and where you come from.
Thank you very much. I'm called Mukisa Jared. I come from Uganda, working for an organization which is a research, development and community development called Kawarole Research and Resource Center. I want to address myself to the keynote speaker, Bwana Ochen from Uganda, my brother, who raised the trilemma. But I want to add that after all this, I think we could make it a quadrilemma instead, because I find it lacking what I want to call ignorance as a barrier to these things. Because I know if when we talk about access, yes, our people will get money, will access this money, but without the education of how to effectively utilize this money, it still remains a big challenge. So, as we are here, I also didn't want us to keep ourselves into the past from your submission achieved by bringing that slave traders about us. I think we need to start from here we are now. In this workshop, given the circumstances we are living in the perspective of financial inclusion, what can we do? So for me, we need to talk about how do we increase access, how do we reduce the cost, because if there is access, there is still a question of cost. How do we reduce this cost? So the social investors who are here, the donors, how do we subsidize? And also talk about financial education and financial literacy and digitalization. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead. I think one of you can pick up that.
Go, please. Yeah, I like the comments from my brother who is coming from Uganda, because what he's saying is the truth. In my opening remarks, I said that the era of having uniform products from one financial institution to another is gone. In 1990s, in the year 2000, all the way up to 2010, like in Kenya, every microfinance looked similar to the other. But scenarios have changed. And then when you are formulating the products and services or solutions to the people we want to serve, I said we must be innovative enough to listen to them, to do a bit of research that we know the risks that surround them. When we talk about the access, it has 2 components. The barriers to the service providers, that's why he's talking about the cost of finance being high. We need to do capacity building for the financial institutions that provide the services so that then we can upscale them they can be trusted, and then come up with other initiatives and frameworks within the industry, like credit guarantee funds. We need to look at the regulatory frameworks that have been rolled out. Like in Kenya particularly, we have a microfinance regulatory framework that is a bit prohibitive. And again, there are elements like credit guarantee funds that are not accessible to microfinance institutions, such that when they go to borrow, they are already viewed as risky. So when you borrow as a risky person, and you're given a rate because of your risk profile, definitely the cost of your financing or lending to your customers will be higher. So it is more innovative, more innovation in terms of how do we support the service providers to access cheaper credit. Deposit mobilization alone may not be the answer. There are a lot of regulatory frameworks that need to be looked, and this one may be specific to from country to country. Now, second, when it comes to the customers, again I say that the era of uniform products is gone, because we need to leverage on partnerships. If you are serving people in the refugee camp, you don't have the expertise to serve them. You may have the money, you may have the technology, but you don't have the expertise, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So that one calls for us to be open enough to look for partners who have specific skills to serve our target clientele. So partnerships are critical. They are the people who help us to do financial literacy, so that we are able to work with the customers, not just in terms of borrowing, but also in terms of saving, because we know wealth can only be created by saving and investment. The issue of research is critical, so that we are able to know what are the trends, how can we be able to serve more efficiently. The research will give us the data we so need. So those are my thoughts in terms of how do we address access, such that access is not just the distances as we used to say a long time ago. In Kenya, almost everybody has access to a mobile phone, and we serve, but yet many remain financially excluded, even when they have the instruments that can link them to the mainstream, because for themselves, they are not prepared, their profile is low, probably no one may be desiring to let them. So there's work to do. And I feel, my brother, that there's a lot that we need to do when we want to break the barriers to access of financial services.
Right. Mr. Victor, I don't know if you have a different take.
I just on another issue you raised. Thank you so much, Mugisa. And it is true, history can be painful. History, if you excavate, there's a lot that you find in the history, and can also be a tool for moving forward, or a tool for destruction or building better. When you look at the historical journey that the continent has been through to where we are, yes, we can celebrate the progress we have made, but are we not repeating the history in our own situation? All these changes has happened, but circumstance has just evolved. They're wearing different faces. And that's why we should also know that a lot of development were built on darts, on loots, on plunderers. Let's be honest with ourselves. If we seek to promote society that is sustainably developed, where we are able to, move forward, let us also appreciate and know that there are people who are paying prices for those development. And that's why we are saying our development should be humanely driven, not always only about making more money, but let's look at who is paying the price for the clean energy transition in the world today. Think about the Congolese who are going through the hell, All these kind of things continues to be there. Yes, we can celebrate our progress, but let us pay attention to the plight of people who are caught up in this kind of geographical locations. That's why I think history is good to learn from, and that's why I ask the question, who are the people, who are the middlemen championing exploitation, manipulation, extortion, destruction of Africa's mineral resources that should be used to develop African people. They're asking the questions, but they lack access to the platforms like where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oshen. There's a question right here. Our ushers, please, I'd like a microphone. One here, all right? This lady right here, and then the gentleman over there. Yes, the gentleman over there. Let me have the lady first, and then you. There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And my question, I directed...
Please, your name, please.
Okay, my name is Amina Ramadhani Haigai. I come from Tanzania. And my question I directed to Mr. Victor Ochen, who said, I loved the analog from the way you took the chains from Zanzibar and then you translated them to the economic chains that are holding Africa back. And when you were talking, actually, I wrote here, then who are the chain holders? We've recognized that there's a chain that is holding Africa back, economically and financially. So who are the chain holders? Because, okay, when you go, maybe if you take an example of spiritual life, when you know that there's a chain of alcoholism, you go to Jesus, he breaks the chain, and you're set free. So when it comes to this economic chain, have we identified who or what are the chains holding us back? And then what are solutions so that we can unlock the chains? Because just recognizing that we have the chains, it's not enough. In this continent of ours, we'll always be lagging behind. And it's painful, you know. As you said, history is painful. So what happened in Zanzibar back then is still happening here, but in a different form, and it's still hurting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for a wonderful question, Amina. Thank you so much. The gentleman there, please tell us your name.
Bonjour à tout le monde, c'est Mohamed Moustapha. Je suis le président du conseil d'administration sénégalais.
Just a minute. We'll do the translation gadget, please.
Ok. Donc bonjour à tout le monde, c'est Mohamed Moustapha. Je suis membre de la CIF, la Confédération des institutions financières de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, et président du conseil d'administration de PAMECAS Sénégal. Donc ma question, c'est de vous interpeller par rapport à l'économie de la microfinance. D'abord sur nos valeurs, sur la vision et surtout sur la mission. Je pense que la microfinance a pour mission de lutter contre la pauvreté et d'améliorer les conditions de vie de la population. Mais je reviens sur votre chair originale. La chair qui est originale, nous tous on est d'accord qu'aujourd'hui en Afrique, 50% de notre peuple a moins de 19 ans. Et 75% de notre peuple a moins de 35 ans. Et les plus de 60 ans ne représentent qu'autour de 6%. Et malheureusement, sur l'économie de la chaîne, les moins de 35 ans n'existent qu'à moins de 10%. Comment nous voulons faire le développement en laissant à rate les 75% de la population? Et je voudrais poser la question aujourd'hui, quels doivent être les mécanismes ou les supports que nous devons utiliser pour mettre en branle cette jeunesse qui représente à moins de 19 ans 50%, et à moins de 35 ans, plus de 75% de la population. Ça se voit. Si on voit la salle, on verra que les moins de 35 ans ne représentent pas 10%. Et on parle de l'avenir. Et sous tous les grands forums d'Afrique, quand vous allez là-bas, vous allez voir que c'est les plus de 60 ans qui réfléchissent pour les 20 ans. Donc, ça va être très difficile. Donc je pense que nous devons avoir l'habitude pour ces genres de forums d'inviter les jeunes pour qu'ils puissent assister et commencer à se préparer pour demain. Merci.
Sorry, Victor, Mr. Kamara, or do we have a, oh, okay, let's take a third one, and then the lady, far right, yes, raising your hand. Please, there's a microphone right there, yes. Let's take those three, get the answers, and then we'll see if we can get some.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon,
Colette Kinda from Advanced Congo, DRC. I'm going to ask a question the same way than my previous friends there. We've been organizing this kind of forum for many years, and we can see that things are moving in the positive way, and things are moving fast, but we still have a gap with our population. As you know, that a large number of our population still is excluded from financial solutions, and I'm wondering if we are doing enough, and I want to know if, from your perspective, you think that what we are doing is really enough, or if not, what we need to do to address that gap we have in our population, and what we are facing now with new challenges, with bias. We can see that for this day we have also new challenge with climate change, in addition to what we have previous years. So I want to know from your perspective if you think that we are doing enough, or we need to do more, and if we need to do more, what should be done? Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let me start with you. Okay, all right. Final question for this session, so we get the answers.
Good afternoon. My name is Esther Okech from Kenya Female Advocacy Organization, and I'm also a member of Chamber of Commerce. My question is, when you say finance, what is the level of finance that women from the grassroots get? Because when we are looking at working with grassroots women, there is minimal resources, and I'm very happy to hear about the AFL, which you talked about. Because that means that when you're talking about finances to women to do businesses, it does not mean that an equivalent of Kenya shillings 5,000 is access to finance. If you want to build businesses, we would really like to see where the credit is going and how then we can build up women SMEs to be able to have access to resources we then build them up. The kind of money we get cannot build us to reach where other people are. Thank you.
Okay, very quickly, Mr. Oshan, very quickly.
Oh yeah, thank you.
2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me begin from what my sister Okech asked about. What is available? What are we able to access? You know, sometimes people want food. People want, supply of food at home, fill their store, and you give them the peanut. And when you do this, I've seen it in conflict situation, in post-conflict situation, when very tiny resources come, it creates conflicting competition among the survivors. When it is too small, it just creates more chaos, more conflict. And the question sometimes you wonder, a program is given for $100,000 US, and you expect it to serve and address a continental problem of 1.2 billion people. Are we really serious about that? If we are talking about billion people in Africa, why not talk about investment also in $1 billion worth of resources so that things can trickle down? And then my sister from Tanzania, Amina, you ask a very good question. Who is holding the chain? What we know for sure right now is there are so many ways. We say that all the things has evolved. History will always find itself to the surface, whether we like it or not. And somehow we'll find the history is getting itself to the surface. Look at so many Africans who are going as laborers in the Middle East. How they are taken from here. Who are the people recruiting them? Who are the companies support? Some of them are in governments. Some of them in securities. So the chain holders, the tips of today are in our governments, are in our churches, are in our cultural institutions, are in our banks, are in everything. So we need to be honest about ourselves. We are being exploited by our very own. We cannot blame other people, yet we should be taking responsibility. So I think we are the chain holders. We know where things are. We should work to address that at our level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kamori, finally.
I'm lucky
I'm lucky to be seated with Mr. Oshen. He's handling the hardest questions. But I got one from just a few in terms of the change again. A comment, we need to look at the regulatory framework. I mentioned about them. Who is facilitating the microfinance industry or sector players? Do they have what we call facilitative regulatory framework? Or are we having frameworks that were set 20, 30 years ago and they're still operational today when the world has moved? Those ones need to be looked. We don't have a choice. So that even as we look at that, again, we come up with institutions that will be supporting them. Microfinance, even financial access, is not a standalone product. It has to be offered within an environment that is enabling. Again, for the youth gap, the youth badge is there. We need to have movements to interpret the movements that we are living in. The world has changed again, but what are the opportunities that are there for the youth? Are there value chains that they can be actors such that solutions can be pushed through, either through technology, digitally, and they are able to create wealth in that space? It cannot be done by the actors around here. It will involve the governments of the day. So the entire industry, entire countries need to be involved. So then again, when we are rolling out the climate change management solutions or risk management solutions, we need to broaden and come up with partners or create partnerships in the marketplace that will help us. So for the networks like other institutions, our job is cut in terms of lobbying, in terms of mobilization, in terms of pulling people who can work together with us, because the work that we are doing is hard. There was a question as whether we are doing enough. What we are doing is good, because if we keep quiet, we may not have somebody to speak what we are talking about. We need to raise our voices more. We need to be heard louder. And over and above that, we need to rethink the way we are offering our solutions. When you talk about the rural women, there is somebody who asked about the rural women, whether they are accessing finance. I am not sure whether we give them 100,000 today to operate a kiosk. We are helping them. We actually may be sending them to another grave, because they can put all that stock in their kiosk and they may not have a market or somebody to buy that product. There, we need to think about value chains and actors in the rural area or whatever place we are serving. We need to think about what are they selling and do they have the market? If they are producing, do we have a value chain that we can build such that they become facilitated through the value chain and market linkages that exist? Nimrod.
Thank you. A round of applause for a wonderful gentleman, Mr. Simon Kamore, the chairman, Humphrey Kenya, and Mr. Victor Oshen, who is the executive director, INEC. Thank you so much. May I kindly request you to have your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the organizers, the wonderful organizers of this wonderful event, together with our dignitaries, have requested that we break for lunch and then come here at exactly 2 p.m. and our official opening ceremony will be at 2 p.m. and it's going to take about 30 minutes, and then we'll move on to our plenary session. So we'll just move forward our sessions with about 30 minutes. Is that okay? All right? So we break for lunch. The lunch tent is right behind you. If you can turn back on your left. If I'm standing here and this is my north, that should be northeast. All right? Let's all converge there, have a sumptuous meal, but let's make sure this will be about 50 minutes, and I think it's adequate enough, all right, for lunch and to come back here so that we can continue. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch. Oh yeah, please remember to leave the headsets or the translation gadgets. You'll come back and make use of them much later. Bon appetit. Rise and welcome our chief guest this afternoon for the official opening of our ceremony today, Psalm 2025. A round warm applause for the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperative
micro, small, and medium enterprises. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Please remain standing as we sing just one stanza of the national anthem. Just one stanza. Thank you.
Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki na mlinzi, na tukae na udugu, amani na uhuru, na watu pate na ustawi.
Thank you. Please, let's be seated. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Thank you. The Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, the Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, we want to thank you for making time to grace this occasion. Indeed, we've had a wonderful session in the morning up to the afternoon, and we are pleased that you could be able to join us here today. We've had a session where we had a keynote address by Mr. Victor Ocean discussing some of the challenges facing microfinance institutions, the penetration and accessibility by clients within the continent of Africa. Cabinet Secretary, the African Inclusive Finance Week, or SAM as it is popularly known, is the biggest finance inclusion event in Africa. It is held every 2 years in a different country, and it is a 5-day event that brings together key representatives of this sector. That includes the investors, microfinance institutions, researchers, bankers, networks, innovators, and government representatives. This event has been organized in partnership, of course, with the Association of Microfinance Institutions of Kenya, AMFI-K, as well as ADA, the Ministry of Cooperative, as well as other organizations and wonderful sponsors who've been here with us today. This event today, Cabinet Secretary, has been attended by various delegates from different parts of the country. My wonderful delegates, I have the whole list here now. I'm not so sure I can read it, but I have a total of 61 countries represented here today in Kenya. Can we have a round of applause for these wonderful, wonderful countries? I know I will read these names again and again, but allow me now to get straight away into the official opening ceremony. And to do that, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome back on stage the chair of AMFI Kenya, representing the leading voice of Kenya's microfinance sector, advocating for policies and partnerships that advance financial inclusion and empower small businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Simon Kamore, the chair, AMFI KE, to begin with the opening remarks. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, so thank you and welcome to this afternoon session. We believe that all of us are getting empowered and appreciating the progress of the conference. I'll do the welcome even so that we can progress. The Cabinet Secretary, Honorable LCP Wycliffe Oparanya, EGH, Ministry of Cooperative, MSMEs Development, Mr. Deputy President, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Minister for Development, Cooperation and Humanitarian Affairs, Mr. Xavier Bettel, Mr. Giles Frank Ada, Vice Chairperson, Ms. Laura Fossi, Executive Director, ADA, the Chairman, and Board of Association of Microfinance Institutions, Kenya, AMFI. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the Africa Inclusive Finance Week, SAM 2025. I'm deeply grateful for the presence of such esteemed dignitaries and stakeholders whose commitment to advancing inclusive finance continues to shape the future of our continent. Allow me first to acknowledge our Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Cooperatives and MSMEs, Development Honorable FCPA Wycliffe Abetsa Oparanya, EGH, for honoring our invitation and for your consistent support to the microfinance sector. The leadership, vision, and reforms from your office have greatly strengthened the formalization and sustainability and visibility of the inclusive finance ecosystem in Kenya. To our distinguished guests, Honorable Xavier Peter, Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Government of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, we are most honored by your presence. Your leadership and your country's steadfast commitment to advancing inclusive finance globally, and particularly in Africa, continue to inspire us. This gathering, and you have seen we have 61 nationalities represented, reflects our shared and enduring commitment to creating a more inclusive and prosperous Africa. Inclusive finance is not merely about providing access to financial services, it is about unlocking human potential, empowering communities, and advancing dignity and equity. It is about ensuring that every individual, regardless of their background or circumstances, has the opportunity and the tools to fully participate in economic and social transformation. As we convene here today, we do so at a critical moment, one marked by economic shifts, environmental challenges, and emerging opportunities. This dialogue, therefore, provides us a unique chance to reflect on the progress, confront persistent barriers, and chart practical pathways toward an inclusive and sustainable financial future. While Kenya and Africa has made tremendous strides in inclusive finance, millions still remain excluded and unable to access credit, insurance, or investment capital that can transform livelihoods. As we deliberated during this conference, our program is designed to help us unpack the gaps, identify innovative solutions, and reaffirm our collective resolve to collaborate across sectors, borders, and institutions. By fostering an enabling environment that promotes innovation, consumer protection, and fair competition, we can unlock the full potential of inclusive finance to drive growth and shared prosperity. As many of you know, the microfinance sector continues to face challenges, notably the lack of comprehensive regulatory framework. And Mr. CS, in the morning, there was a lot of discussion around that, lack of comprehensive regulatory framework, and limited access to sustainable funding. This is not unique to Kenya, it is a continental reality. The absence of inclusive, consistent, and predictable regulation has constrained growth and discouraged both local and foreign investment. Today, I make appeal to the government of Kenya to fast-track the ongoing process of developing a balanced and enabling regulatory framework for the microfinance sector. Such a framework will enhance transparency, consumer protection, and investor confidence while stimulating innovation and formalization. We have a regulatory framework that has been in operation for slightly about 14 years, which was enacted in 2006, operationalized in 2008. Bwana Waziri, it has been rotating around, people trying to make it more inclusive. Kindly ask this afternoon as our prayers is that you walk with us in this journey so that you can be able to serve many more than we are able to do today. When Amphi Kenya and our partners embarked on the journey to host SAM 2025, we did so with a clear mission to showcase Kenya's readiness, resilience, and leadership in inclusive finance. To our local and international investors, I say this with conviction. Kenya is open for business, and inclusive finance is open for investment. From the smallholder farmer in Kisii to the market trader in Mombasa, to the youth innovator in Nairobi and the women entrepreneurs transforming our rural economies, there lies a world of opportunity waiting for strategic investment. We invite you to explore and invest in MSMEs, digital finance, insurance, green lending, and enterprise development, areas where social impact and sustainable returns meet. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express our profound gratitude to the trust and confidence placed in Kenya and Amphi Kenya to host the African Inclusive Finance Week, SAM 2025. This honor affirms Kenya's leadership in inclusive finance and recognizes the collective effort of our institutions, regulators, and development partners who have worked tirelessly to make this event possible. We are deeply thankful to the government of Luxembourg, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade represented by Honorable Xavier Bettel, to under the BOA and the Executive Director Main, and all other collaborating partners for their unwavering support, coordination, and friendship. For Amphi Kenya, hosting SAM 2025 is a great honor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we open the African Inclusive Week 2025, let us renew our collective resolve and commitment to make finance work for all. Turn inclusion into innovation and innovation into prosperity. Inclusive finance is not a charity, it is smart, sustainable economics. When we empower people to participate fully in their economies, we build nations that are stronger, fairer, and resilient. On behalf of Amphi Kenya and the entire microfinance community, I welcome you once again to this landmark gathering, a celebration of partnership, progress, and African collective rise. Thank you, God bless you, God bless Kenya, and God bless Africa. And in Kiswahili, we said, karibuni sana. Thank you. Okay, thank you. The MC has indicated that I also have the honor. Finish with him, then when you go to the government, what do you think? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Microfinance is a business of collaboration. You can see how we are collaborating in a very efficient way. I want to welcome Gilles Frank. He is the chairman of UNDA Luxembourg. They are our partners and have greatly worked with us in hosting this event. Welcome.
Thank you. A round of warm applause for Mr. Gilles Frank. Welcome.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a true pleasure to welcome you all to the Summit 2025, which is the 7th edition of this event. And I'm particularly proud to welcome the Honourable Mr. Mbetse El-Paragya, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives and MSME Development. And thank you, Simon Kamori, for the very upbeat introduction. This is a journey that started in 2013 in Arusha with 250 participants. And SAM has become, since, Africa's largest gathering dedicated to financial inclusion. With over 1,100 participants this week, the scale and energy of this event confirms the vital role we are all playing in shaping the future of inclusive finance on the continent. This year marks an important step. We have changed the name from African Microfinance Week to African Inclusive Finance Week. This is more than just a cosmetic shift. It reflects our commitment to embracing the increasingly diversity of actors in the sector and our determination to innovate, adapt, and expand our impact. My own organization, ADA, has broadened its partnerships in recent years as well. We're not just working with microfinance institutions anymore, but we now also work with incubators, accelerators, fintechs, agritechs, and the vibrant range of impact enterprises. Together, we are building a more systemic approach to benefit vulnerable populations, not only through financial services, but also by encouraging entrepreneurship, promoting sustainable agriculture, supporting agroforestry initiatives, and investing in renewable energy solutions. Allow me to share some numbers that illustrate our progress. Over the past 4 years, our programs have contributed to improving the lives of nearly 1 million people. Since the implementation of our strategic plan in 2022, we have joined forces with 280 partners right across Africa, working hand in hand to strengthen local economies and empower communities. Each partnership, each project, is a step forward, a step towards a more inclusive and resilient financial landscape across the continent. For more than 30 years, ADA has championed the values of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and capacity building. These same principles also drive SAM, whether it is through the Innovators Village, where creative solutions are showcased, the Investor Fair, where investees and impact investors come together, or the conference sessions themselves. SAM is about facilitating partnerships, sharing insights, and promoting inclusive businesses. Yet, as we all gather here, we are all acutely aware that numerous and evolving challenges facing our sector. Rapid technological change, shifting regulatory environments, and most importantly, the ever-changing needs of vulnerable populations, particularly in regions grappling with instability and growing impact of climate change. In this context, inclusive finance is an essential tool for increasing resilience and for enabling people to live autonomously. At the same time, financial service providers must themselves become more resilient, just like the clients they serve. This calls for adaptability, openness to new technologies, and a careful balance between efficiency of digital tools and the irreplaceable value of human connection. Take artificial intelligence. It offers tremendous promise, but it must be understood, regulated, and tailored so that it supports financial inclusion rather than inadvertently excluding people who need our services the most. The real challenge for all of us is to ensure that these innovations are not only cutting edge, but also genuinely are relevant and accessible to end clients. The implementation must be thoughtful, and the impact must be rigorously monitored, so that we can always be certain that our efforts are leaving a positive mark on people's lives. In that context, I would like to draw your attention to ADA's impact report, which has just been published last week. At the heart of all our work lies a single, unshakable principle. The needs of vulnerable populations should always be our starting point and our guiding light. This year's SAM conference, with its theme of refocusing on vulnerable populations, is an urgent call to action. We must continue to place the interests of the most at-risk communities at the center of our mission and our activities. We cannot meet these complex challenges alone. Collective action is essential, and Luxembourg's inclusive finance ecosystem offers a powerful model of such collaboration. Here at SAM, we are building bridges between Europe and Africa, creating partnerships that will shape the future of inclusive finance. As was pointed out, though, by several people yesterday in some of the workshops, we should always remember to understand and respect the local context. Let me take this opportunity to thank our hosts, the Kenyan government, the Ministry for MSME Development, and the Association of Microfinance Institutions Kenya, MFK. We are also deeply grateful to the African Inclusive Finance Network, MAIN, our long-standing partner in organizing SAM. Your warm welcome and steadfast support has made it possible for us to come together here in Nairobi, and we're inspired by your commitment to inclusion and progress. I want to end with a small nod to our host country's rich culture. I am told, and forgive my pronunciation, that in Kiswahili, no exclusion translates into hakuna ubaguzi. So this be our shared motto for SAM 2025. No exclusion, only inclusion. Thank you for being here, for your active involvement, and for your commitment to a more inclusive future for Africa and beyond. Thank you.
Let's appreciate our friend once again. Gios Frank, representing the chairman of ADA, they have been of great support to the microfinance movement and finance inclusion. Kindly allow me to welcome a representative from Nairobi County. We are in the middle of the city, in the sun. So welcome, so seme habari, and welcome us.
Thank you very much, Chairman, the Chief Guest, the Cabinet Minister, cooperatives and micro and small enterprises, Honorable FCPA Dr. Wycliffe Oparanya, EGH, other invited guests. Mine, very simple, to appreciate the organizers of this event. This is one of the things that make countries grow and is a step in the right direction for this country. I also want to appreciate the chairman and your team for the good work that you are doing. Microfinance is one of the pillars that we value as a country in terms of developing this country, and they play a very critical role. So this Africa Inclusive Finance Week is very important, and we also want to appreciate you bringing it to Kenya, and it is going to go a long way in persuading our people, and also the learnings that we're going to get out of here. It is really going to be very important for this country. I also want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the city on behalf of the Governor of Nairobi, His Excellency Johnson Sakaja. He is not able to join you, but his message of goodwill and welcome to the city Karibu Nairobi, karibu Kenya. Asante sana. My name is George Mutiso. I'm in charge of cooperatives as a chief officer, and I always work closely with the chief guest. Asante sana. Karibu Nairobi. Thank you very much.
I hope he has confirmed that we are safe within the city. Okay, so thank you, the rep from the Nairobi city. So this time, we're going to thank you. We had the Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Minister for Development, Cooperation and Humanitarian Affairs, Mr. Xavier Patel, who was to give a speech, but he had to leave to attend to another meeting because the meeting were coming back to back. But we have Mr. Lien Lava, Director of Bilateral Development and Cooperation, MFA Luxembourg, who will be delivering the speech from the Deputy Prime Minister. Kindly join me in welcoming him to speak to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Actually, some of you might have met our minister here this morning when he was visiting the different stands outside. So I'm just supposed to ask you to excuse him very much. He came here expecting to deliver a speech, but other very important meetings that were supposed to take place this afternoon just made it impossible for him. So my excuses on his behalf. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's appreciate our the Deputy Prime Minister in absence. He was here. We've been interacting with him. And somebody commented that if we want a coffee ambassador, if we want to have a coffee ambassador, we can actually appoint him to be our diaspora coffee ambassador. So just let him know that we appreciate him and his love for Kenyan coffee. We are greatly honored to have a permanent secretary, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, from the National Government Coordination. So the entire government is here, and I want to welcome him to make the remarks and then invite for us our chief guest. Welcome, Honorable.
Good afternoon. I think my biggest role will be to welcome His Excellency the CS. But let me say it is a great honor to accompany the CS to this African Inclusive Finance Week, a platform that continues to inspire progress, innovation, collaboration towards a more inclusive continent, more financially inclusive continent. And on behalf of the national government, let me extend my appreciation to the organizers of this wonderful function. Indeed, inclusive finance is not a luxury. Rather, it is a necessity for sustainable development, economic resilience, and social equity. And for us to achieve this, we need collaboration of the different stakeholders together. And of course, as Africans, we need to share experiences across the board, be it the success in digital finance in Rwanda, or the mobile money in Kenya, or the success in Nigeria. Those kind of collaboration and shared experience among Africans will definitely lead to success, and we therefore need to build an Africa where we are sharing ideas, opinion, experiences, and work together. That way, I think we will be in a position to solve our problems, because when you share ideas, when you share experience across the board, then definitely we will be in a position to share experience and upscale this inclusive finance approach. Without taking much of your time, I will take this opportunity to welcome the CS to give his remarks. And before doing so, our African approach of doing this is to give a big clap. We call what is it called? The Kanu clap. What do we call? The Mama and Baba clap. Yeah? All right, let's give the CS a good welcome clap. 1, 2, 3. CS. Karibu. Thanks so much.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa. This place is very small. Let me, before I give the address, apologize for coming late. This session was supposed to be in the morning, but unfortunately, we had a subcommittee meeting of the cabinet that I could not avoid. So when I came in, you're already going for lunch. Let me recognize the Deputy Prime Minister in absentia, who is also the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Development Corporation of Luxembourg, the Principal Secretary, Mheshimiwa Ahmed Ibrahim, the PS in charge of national government coordination, the chair of the association, the CEO of Amphi, Caroline Karanja, whom we have worked very closely to make sure that this conference is a success, and of course, the Nairobi Chief of SAR in charge of cooperatives. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome you to Kenya on behalf of the President. The President was supposed to open this function, but unfortunately he had other state commitments that had been arranged earlier, so he requested me to do it on his behalf. But since he never gave me a speech, I prepared my own speech based on what I knew about the association and about the conference. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, development partners who are here, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor and pride to join you at the inaugural of the African Inclusive Finance Week, SAM 2025. On behalf of the government of Kenya and the great people of the Republic of Kenya, we are proudly privileged to host our brothers and sisters from the greater African continent and beyond for this important dialogue. I warmly welcome you to this important gathering that carries our collective vision and responsibility of an African where finance serves people, drives inclusion, and inspires transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, the African Inclusive Finance movement resonates deeply with the Kenya's development and transformation vision. As a nation, our development roadmap is anchored on the bottoms-up economic transformation agenda, better, an inclusive national agenda. Better is a profound conviction that Kenya must break from the inertia of incremental change and embrace bold and structured transformation. It is about realigning our economic architecture and shifting from consumption to production, from exclusion to inclusion, and from aid dependence to self-reliance. As we stand out as the undisputed leader in financial innovation in the African continent, we have earned a global recognition as a pioneer and a leader in inclusive finance. The government of Kenya is international in ensuring that financial systems work for all citizens, especially those that are at the bottom of the economic pyramid. We are deliberate about our policy choices, creating conducive, innovative partnerships that are committed to strengthening the MSME sector through funding and infrastructure development. Our country pioneering strides in mobile money, the M-Pesa, agency banking and digital credit solutions have not only transformed domestic financial access, but also shaped the global narrative on how technology can leapfrog traditional banking. Kenya's regulatory agility, exemplified by the Central Bank of Kenya sandbox approach, credit guarantee schemes for MSME, and vibrant circles and microfinance sectors has created a thriving ecosystem for inclusive finance. To demonstrate our commitment to inclusive finance agenda, the government of Kenya has demonstrated a strong commitment through flagship initiatives such as the Hustler Fund, a groundbreaking government-backed digital credit and saving platform designed to give millions of Kenyans access to affordable, collateral-free financial while building a culture of savings and credit discipline. Affordable housing program which blends financial innovation with social impact, expanding access to mortgage finance and cooperative models, ensuring more Kenyans can own homes while catalyzing jobs and MSME opportunities in construction and supply chains. Social Health Authority, popularly known as SHA, reforms, transforming healthcare financing and access by embedding equity, risk pooling, and inclusivity in the national medical insurance system. digital superhighway, and creative economy pillar, laying a strong foundation for digital financial services, e-commerce, and youth-driven innovation through robust ICT infrastructure, affordable connectivity, and supporting policies. Economic empowerment funds and circle strengthening, enhancing targeted financing for MSME, women, youth, and farmers through guarantee schemes, cooperative financing, and revolving funds. These bold initiatives reinforces Kenya's commitment to ensure no one is left behind in access to finance, services, and opportunities. They also demonstrate how international government leadership can align inclusive finance with national development, poverty reduction, sustainable growth, and transform people's livelihood. Our experience has shown that inclusive finance is not just a development tool, it is a catalyst for innovation, resilience, and dignity. That when finance reaches every farmer, trader, artisan, youth, woman, entrepreneur, people living with disabilities, and the forceful displaced, it can stir the full potential of our continent. Distinguished delegates, we are proud of the progress made to this end, but we also acknowledge that the journey towards full inclusion is ongoing and that it requires collaboration and continuous improvement. As a government, we remain fully committed to promoting and advancing inclusive finance to steer and grow our economy by creating an enabling policy and regulatory environment that is predictable, inclusive, and consistent. Investing in infrastructure that empowers MSMEs from digital connectivity to industrial parks and logistics network, strengthening the microfinance and cooperative sectors as vital vehicles for the grassroots empowerment and inclusive growth, expanding public-private partnership to scale innovation and reach last-mile communities. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond financial innovation, Kenya's strategic geographical location positions us as the regional hub for East and Central Africa, making it a natural gateway for trade, investment, and finance. Distinguished investors, Kenya is open for business. As a nation, we recognize that sustainable inclusion cannot be achieved by government alone, and that's why we have a clear and deliberate public-private partnership and investment roadmap, a world-class infrastructure and connectivity for business and investment. Kenya, and indeed Africa, is open for business not only as markets, but also as a growth partner. This is the time to invest in Africans' inclusive finance story. We boast of a young and dynamic population that is ready to innovate, and governments that are reforming to enable investment and regional integration efforts to build a resilient continental market. We are determined to make Kenya and Africa the innovation and technology hub for inclusive growth and a place where ideas, capital, and impact converge. I therefore invite you to work with us to build systems that work for our people, capital that empowers, technology that includes, and enterprises that may sustain. The government of Kenya pledges its unwavering support to the microfinance and MSME ecosystem, ensuring that policy, capital, and opportunity flow together to uplift our people. Distinguished guests, allow me at this moment to extend special appreciation and recognition to the government of Luxembourg for being at the center of this important African theme through their Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs, whose presence with us today is a profound demonstration of friendship, partnership, and shared vision. Kenya deeply values our long-standing relationship with the government of Luxembourg, a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and shared commitment. Luxembourg has been a global pioneer in inclusive and responsible finance, and its collaboration with Kenya through institutions such as ADA and the broader microfinance ecosystem continues to strengthen our national agenda of empowering MSMEs, advancing digital finance, and promoting equitable growth. We are particularly grateful to Luxembourg's technical and strategic support in convening this important event and for its sustained role in helping Africa develop strong, inclusive, and resilient financial system. This bilateral relationship represents the future of development cooperation, one that moves beyond aid into shared investment, innovation, and partnership. As Kenya and Luxembourg continue to work together, we are reaffirm our commitment to deepen this collaboration through expanded cooperation in fintech, green finance, and MSME development as a vital engine of inclusive prosperity for our people. I also wish to extend appreciation to the ADA, whose partnership with Kenya and indeed with Africa stands as a shining example on how technical expertise and genuine collaboration can transform lives. Over time, ADA has been at the forefront of inclusive finance and sustainable development, working with governments, microfinance institutions, and private sector actors to strengthen local capacity and expand access to finance for low-income populations. In Kenya, ADA's collaboration with the Association of the Microfinance Institution Kenya, AMFI-K, and our financial sector actors has been instrumental in promoting innovation, training, and institutional strengthening, ensuring that our microfinance ecosystem remains resilient, digitally ready, and people-centered. Allow me also to acknowledge with deep appreciation the Microfinance Africa Institutions Network, MAIN, a vital Pan-Africa platform but continues to champion the growth, professionalism, and sustainability of inclusive finance across our continent. Your role in bringing together practitioners, policymakers, and innovators to foster learning and collaboration, and ensuring that Africa's people speak strong voice in shaping the global agenda for financial inclusion is indeed commendable. Through its partnership with ADA and our own Kenya, Maine has demonstrated that when Africa connects, collaborates, and learns together, we move faster and further in achieving inclusive and sustainable growth. Kenya values this partnership deeply as it aligns perfectly with our inclusive and collaborative agenda that envisions Africa not as a beneficiary of innovation, but as a source and a driver of it. Permit me also to acknowledge the Association of Microfinance of Kenya, AMFIK, for outstanding leadership and enduring partnership with the government of Kenya in advancing the cause of inclusive finance. Let me recognize the board of AMFI, if they are here, if they can stand, so that we can see them, the people who have done a very good job for us and who has made sure that we sustain. Thank you very much. You can be seated. AMFI Kenya continues to play a pivotal role in supporting the government's agenda of financial deepening, enterprise growth, and economic inclusion, ensuring that the voices and aspirations of our MSMEs and microfinance actors are well represented in national policy and global dialogue. We commend AMFI Kenya for its tireless efforts in making a strong case for Kenya to host this prestigious Pan-Africa event, a role that has been brought to our nation into the continental spotlight as a center of excellency in inclusive finance and innovation. The government deeply values this collaboration, and we pledge our support to ensure that this collaboration is enhanced to build a vibrant and resilient financial ecosystem that empowers citizens, strengthens enterprises, and secures the promise of shared prosperity for all. Distinguished guests, before I conclude, I'm pleased to announce that Kenya will be hosting the next East Africa Trade Fair of MSMEs, commonly known as MSMEs, East Africa MSME Trade Fair in Nairobi from 7th to 16th of November this year. The East African Trade Fair is a landmark event that brings together entrepreneurs, investors, innovators, and policymakers from across the East Africa region and beyond to showcase creativity, innovations, resilience, and entrepreneurship spirit. Through this trade fair, we seek to connect small businesses to new markets, promote technology-driven growth, and expand access to finance and investment, all in alignment with our better agenda and the broader vision of sustainable and inclusive development. The ministry has also come up with an initiative that puts together the private sector actors and government to establish a socio-economic MSME ecosystem, popularly known as the MSME Connect. We have had dialogue with small businesses in Nairobi, Embu, and Mombasa. The next edition of MSME Connect will be held in Kisumu next month this year. We welcome all of you once again to join us for this important regional economic empowerment event. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather today, Kenya stands proud to showcase the milestones we have achieved in advancing inclusive finance and boundless opportunities that lie ahead. We are proud to host you, our brothers, sisters from across Africa and the world, to witness the progress we have made and to shape the next chapter of Africa's financial transformation. Let me therefore reflect with true measure of our progress that lies not in statistics, but in the lives we transform, the dreams we enable, and the opportunities we unlock for our people. And now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty and great honor to officially declare open the African Inclusive Finance Week 2025. Let us invest boldly, regulate wisely, innovate inclusively, and collaborate purposefully. Thank you, and God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to add one or two issues. In Kenya, MSME sector plays a very important role in that out of people, 20 million Kenyans in economic activities, whether employment or doing their own business, about 98% are in this particular sector. This particular sector contributes about 40% of our GDP. So this sector has been taken very seriously with the Kenyan government, and it is one of the 5 pillars that the Kenya government is now targeting to enable the country transform its economy. So as a ministry, we have taken it very strategic, and we are looking at 4 areas that we are focusing all our energy. One is financing, which we are all talking about here, about financing. The second one is market access, and that's why we have the East African protocol on access to market, and that's why we are going to host the 25th MSME Trade Fair from 7th of next month, November, and it will be here for 10 days. So all of you, as I've mentioned in my speech, you are welcome. The third area that we are targeting is the digital transformation of this particular sector. Without technology, using the traditional way we used to do things, we cannot move on. People use their phones for transacting their businesses, banking, and etc. And the last area that we are targeting is the green financing. The climate change is with us, and unless we address that particular sector, then this economy will be hampered to grow for the benefit of our countries. Otherwise, I appreciate all of you, and I'm told you have come from 61 countries. That's a very impressive attendance for this particular function, and we take it very seriously. We will continue to work with you together for the progress of our country. I thank you very much.
Thank you, the Honorable Cabinet Secretary. Let's appreciate the Cabinet Secretary once more with a warm round of applause. Thank you so much, Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya, the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Cooperatives, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. That indeed, your wonderful remarks mark the official opening of a one-week seminar here, the Africa Inclusive Finance Week, bringing together over 1,200 delegates. The Honorable Cabinet Secretary, if I may indulge you now, permit me to allow you to join us on the left of, or the right from where you're sitting of this room, to go and have a photo op together with the dignitaries and some of the speakers who've been here today. I'd like to invite you, Bonasias. I'd like to invite the Principal Secretary. I'd like to invite our guest, Mr. Jules Frank. I'd like to invite our representative from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Luxembourg, the CEO of AMFI, together with the other dignitaries. May I also invite Mr. Victor Oshen, one of our wonderful speakers today. Please, let's have you there in the photo session. Let's take the first 2-3 pictures, and then I'd like to invite a few delegates as well, especially those who are on my left, to also join the Cabinet Secretary so that we have sort of like a full house sort of photo op, right? My good people from Burkina, where are they? They left. My friends from the United States, my friend from Tanzania, please come. Let us go. Come on, I want that place to be a bit full, right? I want that place to be a bit full. Come on, some of the delegates, please come and join us, yeah? Thank you very much. All right, just 1 minute, yes. So we'll just take that and then the delegates will join you. Just 1 minute. Let's take that one first. Yeah? Yeah, just a couple of seconds, yes. Just this one and then the delegates can join you. Photographers, let's be quick. All right, there you go. There you go. Oh, fantastic. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, go, 1. Cheers. Thank you very much. All right, let me have the delegates. Oh, wonderfully dressed. Please, join in. Cabinet Secretary, these are wonderful delegates. Some of them from the 61 countries that we just mentioned. Some can go to the back, some can come to the front. I think we have like 4 staircases here that we can utilize, yeah? Right? Me too? Thank you. I'll do another one, just me and you. All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? Yeah, sure, join in. Anybody else? From Gabon, yes, from Gabon. Ethiopia, where are my people from Ethiopia? Madagascar. Let's come. India. Yeah, that's good. My good friend from India and Ethiopia. Let me have as many delegates as possible. There you go. At the count of 3, I want you to say Psalm 20:25, okay? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Thank you. May I have the board now, AMFI board, to come on board. Rest of the delegates, please remain or go back to your seats. I have an announcement to make, because after this we'll be going back to our breakout sessions, where we can indulge, we can engage together with our moderators effectively for the sessions that are coming up at 3:30 in the afternoon. This is the board of AMFI.
Thank you so much. Our hosts today, together with ADA and the other main sponsors of this wonderful summit today, we thank you so much. Cabinet Secretary, we want to thank you so much for honoring this opportunity and invitation. Thank you so much for coming, and we will at this juncture allow you to leave at your own pleasure, but we want to thank you so much for making time and for making the wonderful key address as well as the official opening ceremony of the summit, SUM 2025. Thank you, Bwana Waziri. Thank you to all the guests and the dignitaries who have spoken earlier and who will speak much later. Okay. All right. Once again, the Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Wycliffe Operandi, we want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. A round of applause for the CS as he takes his leave. We want to thank him so much for officially opening this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we want to break out to our different sessions now, which will begin at exactly 3:30. We have 3 areas. This we are calling South A and B, all right? And then the one on my left, there's a small door that leads to the other side of the left. That is area we're calling Savo C, all right? And then we have another room. If you go to the back door, the one we're using to come into the Savo area, farther down the line, I think you go up the stairs and then you get to the amphitheater. I don't know if many of you have been to the amphitheater before, but I know the Biashas will direct you to the amphitheater. So this is what's happening. At Savo A and B, we're jumping to section 3.2. And the topic we're discussing here, the reason why I'm saying this is that I know various delegates would want to attend different topics at different times. We're jumping straight to topic 3.2, which is discussing forward-looking models and non-traditional funding opportunities. Our moderator for this session will be Madame Claudia Robert. And I know she's not so far away from here. So she'll be joining us here and she'll bring out her panelists in order to start that engagement. 3.1, which is the amphitheater, we're discussing unlocking sustainable funding for inclusive finance. The moderator in that session will be Madame Laurence Pauline. All right? And I suspect she might be already at the amphitheater. Savo C, our discussion here is designing tailored products to meet needs of vulnerable, diverse customers. Okay? Having said that, I want to allow you to take about 5 minutes to go out to your breakout sessions. Remember, there's Savo AB. If you want to belong here, you can stay. There's Savo C, which is just next door. And then there's Amphitheater, which is right across the other side, but on the upper floor. All right? It's very easy to find the place. It's a big hall. All right? So can we do that in less than 5 minutes, please? Those who are remaining at Savo AB, please remain. Our moderator is here. And the others, your moderators, are already in the rooms, ready to receive you, ready to introduce the other speakers so that we can begin our sessions. Yeah. Please also remember, you don't have to carry the translation gadgets. Whatever you see here, you'll find them in the other rooms as well. So you don't need to carry the translation gadgets. All right? Thank you very much. So once again, Savo AB, we're jumping to topic 3.2, forward-looking models and non-traditional funding opportunities. Our moderator today will be Madame Claudia Robert. Right? Amphitheater, which is topic 3.1, unlocking sustainable funding for inclusive finance. Our moderator is Madame Laurence Colin. And in Savo C, our discussion is on designing tailored products to meet the needs of vulnerable, diverse customers. or communities, if you like. All right? You have 5 minutes to assemble into the different breakout sessions so that we can begin. For those who are remaining in Circle A, Circle B, where we are right now, I'd like you to squeeze in a bit so that it's easy to engage, it's easy to interact, okay? There's plenty of free spaces. Those who are remaining here, please squeeze in so that we're all centered in one area. It'll be easy for our moderator, it'll be easy for our speakers to also engage with you. Thank you very much.